kicking in both directions is going to be a challenge tonight. In particular, going left to right on your screen is going to be especially problematic. Packers special teams coach Ron Zook told me when it comes to field goals or point after attempts in that direction, you better have a plan B.
And it says it all, Michelle. It is really swirling down there, and the wind going left to right, 10 to 20 miles per hour. That's what the Packers are going to be going with that direction here to start the game. They won the toss, going to take the ball. Both teams saw the teams ahead of them in their divisions win today. Detroit, Minnesota, Dallas, the Giants. So even more importance added to this game for the 4-5 Packers and Jay Gruden in the 5-3-1 Washington Redskins. Dustin Hopkins, whose big leg usually leads to touchbacks, will kick it off for Washington. With Ty Montgomery, along with Jeff Janis back deep to receive. Into the wild card game these teams played here last year, won by Green Bay. Washington got off to a good start in that one. We're underway with a touchback as Janis will take a knee. And Green Bay will bring it out. And here's the Packers offense.
Aaron Rodgers, Cal.
James Starks, University of Buffalo.
Randall Cobb, Kentucky.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Devontae Adams, Fresno State.
Richard Rodgers, Cal Berkeley.
David Bakhtiari, University of Colorado, Boulder.
Lane Taylor, Oklahoma State.
Corey Lindsley, The Ohio State.
Don Barclay, West Virginia Mountaineers.
Brian Balaga, Iowa.
Lindsley and Barclay starting for J.C. Treader and T.J. Lang, a couple of players who are not in the lineup because of injury for the Packers here tonight. First play for Rodgers from the 25. And this looks like the Packers offense all year. Rodgers rolling out and throwing it away. Incomplete. Randall Cobb was the intended receiver. Aaron Rodgers turns 33 in a couple of weeks. Super Bowl MVP, twice the MVP of the league. The numbers are always good, but they have been better, in part because it's an offense that has, Chris, not gotten into rhythm. They haven't run the ball effectively, and Aaron's tried to have to save it all so often.
And you hit it right on the head with your first comment. It looks like their offense when he drops back and he's not comfortable throwing on time, and then he scrambles around, and there just hasn't been those big plays that we're so accustomed to seeing.
Well, we saw a lot of this 2 years ago. They debuted it in 2014 against New England, putting Randall Cobb in that diamond-shaped backfield, but James Starks had nowhere to go as Chris Baker makes the play for the loss of a yard.
Here we go. And when you get this kind of penetration going right around Corey Lindsley, there just is nowhere to go. So now you're in the worst of all circumstances. And the Washington Redskins on the outside, Preston Smith, Ryan Kerrigan, Trent Murphy, all very, very good getting pressure.
Ready to go. 3rd and 11. Rodgers has 5 to choose from as the pocket collapses and he throws on the run, incomplete. He tried to get it to Jared Cook, the tight end, who's back in the lineup after missing the last 6 games.
There is Sua Cravens right there, and he is going to be the guy who's basically going to be the spy on Aaron Rodgers here tonight. Wherever he goes, they've got someone a little quicker than a defensive lineman to run around with him and not give him any of those easy plays.
Jamison Crowder's had a great punt return season. One of the hardest things to do in addition to kicking tonight, catching punts. It was a challenge for these guys in warm-ups.
Oh boy, I used to do this in college. I hated this kind of wind.
Jacob Schum kicks in. 35 yards of the fair catch by Crowder. So a 3 and out. Good field position for the Washington offense.
Kirk Cousins, Michigan State.
Fat Rob, Old Perry Walker High School.
Pierre Garçon, Haiti.
Jamison Crowder, Duke.
Deshaun Jackson, Long Beach Poly High School.
Jordan Reed, Florida.
Ty Secchi, Arlington Bowie High School.
Sean Laval, Arizona State.
Spencer Long, Nebraska.
Brandon Sheriff, Iowa. Morgan Moses, Wahoo.
Going to watch Morgan Moses a little bit. That left ankle has troubled him the last couple of weeks. There you see Clay Matthews. Green Bay fans so happy to see him back in the lineup after a hamstrings kept him out for the better part of the last month. Officially taking over from the 41 here is Robert Kelly. Introduced himself by his nickname, Fat Rob, and he gains about 5 yards on first down. Kirk Cousins, 28 years old, 2nd year he's had the job full-time. Remember, he came in the same draft class as Robert Griffin III, all the going back and forth of who's going to get this job, but he has settled in since last year. finish strong to get them to the playoffs, has picked up where he left off. Over the middle pass, incomplete. As Deshaun Jackson is back in the Washington lineup, and Morgan Burnett was there in coverage.
That was a good-looking throw from Kirk Cousins there, and of course, Deshaun Jackson missed last week with that shoulder injury. And no matter how tough a guy you are, that first time you're going out and that ball hits you in the chest. But I think you're going to see more than a couple of drops in this game tonight. I couldn't believe how much the ball was moving around. We're down there, some really gusty winds.
3rd and 6. Chris Thompson's the back for Washington. Cousins, look out. Pressured and brought down. Nick Perry, who's having an outstanding season, gets his 7th sack, and Washington will go 3 and out.
There we go, Nick Perry around the outside, and he has clearly been the dominant force on this defense. You talked a little bit about Moses and his injury, but for Nick Perry, he's been doing that to everybody all season long.
Tress Way's a lefty punter, Chris, and Randall Cobb is back to return punts here for Green Bay. Remember, Trevor Davis last week against Tennessee muffed one. So Cobb, who was terrific returning punts early on in his career, is back, but that comes nowhere near him. And this is going to be marked out pretty close to the 30-yard line, I would think, for how far it landed out of bounds. And he's going to take a stroll to the 34-yard line. So not much, just a 28-yard punt. The wind a factor early on. NBC's Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. By Sprint, visit sprint.com. By GE, we imagine a better world, then make it real. And by Bud Light, beer with your team on it. Well, it's Thanksgiving week, so traditions, one around here, pardoning the turkeys at the White House, dates all the way back to Lincoln. This year's flock, by the way, comes from Storm Lake, Iowa. The last to be pardoned by President Obama. Aaron Ripkowski is in the game. He takes the handoff, and only a yard gain on first down. Will Compton makes the stop for Washington.
Man, Will Compton coming up and delivering a big blow, but it was Aaron Ripkowski even bigger. Man, those are two big guys, and for Ripkowski, he's getting a few more carries because of all the injuries of these running backs. Of course, they signed Kristen Michael this week, not active here tonight, but should be ready soon.
Rodgers on 2nd down, tight coverage for Nelson, and Josh Norman right there, incomplete, so the Washington defense will face 3rd and 8. Let's meet them.
Ricky Jean Francois, Carroll City.
Ziggy Hood, Mizzou. Chris Baker, Hampton.
Preston Smith, Mississippi State.
William Earl Compton III, Blackshirt University.
Mason Foster, Washington.
Ryan Kerrigan, Purdue Boilermakers.
Rashard Breland, Clemson.
Dante Whitmer, The Ohio State University.
William Blackman, Boston College.
Josh Norman, Coastal Carolina.
The big signing in this summer has been a big impact free agent, the quarterback. Rodgers has opened 0 for 3, and it's 3rd and 8. Redskins bring 5. Keep Rodgers in, and James Starks goes nowhere. Rashad Breeland comes off the corner and makes the play, and that's back-to-back 3 and outs for Green Bay.
Great matchup on the outside between Josh Norman and Jordy Nelson. They're going to be going at it. It's going to be a key thing. This looked like a man coverage off the snap of the ball. Nice job by Joe Barry giving that look, but it was pure zone coming out, and all Aaron Rodgers could do is just dump it down and make a big play.
Jacob Shum will give it again. Crowder let this one go and takes a good bounce. And Washington will have 94 yards to work with. Good job by Shum. The wind field position so important. Advantage Green Bay for the moment. Don't miss a moment of tonight's game. With the NBC Sports app, you can watch the game anywhere, live on your laptop, tablet, and connected TVs. Love this city. Love coming here. And it makes you run farther, Chris. You want to go a mile, you go 2.5. There's another beautiful monument memorial to see. Just the best.
Yeah, Al Michaels did that all the time.
Stop it. He promised you weren't going to do that tonight. Rob Kelly gets stopped on this first down run. Good play up front from LaTroy Guion. They lose a couple on first down.
LaTroy Guion right over the ball right here. Just going to blow right through that guard center gap and make the play. And now the Washington Redskins backed up in precarious position at this point. You definitely need a few yards on this play just to get you back where you can punt. And here come the pass rushers thinking 2 points of their own.
Second and 13 for Cousins, who'll throw from his own end zone. Gets it out and gets it complete to Pierre Garçon, short of the first down, but gives them breathing room. Third down ahead. Let's meet that Green Bay defense.
Kenny Clark, UCLA. With Troy Guyon, Bradford High School Tornadoes.
Mike Daniels, Iowa. Nick Perry, USC.
Joe Thomas, Blackfield, South Carolina.
Blake Martinez, Stanford.
Clay Matthews, USC.
Ladarius Gunner, the U.
Morgan Burnett, Georgia Tech.
Clint Dix, the University of Alabama.
Quentin Rollins, Miami, Ohio.
Missing two of their top corners, so that secondary play needs to be more solid. It's third and short. They'll run Kelly, first down and much more. Robert Kelly across the 30. So they were backed up at their own 2, and with 2 plays, Washington gets the game's first down.
Yeah, Jordan Reed's going to come over and kick out right here against Clay Matthews and just establish that cutback lane. And it was a tough day at the office last week against Tennessee for this Green Bay Packers defense. Of course, their leading tackler, Jake Ryan, their middle linebacker out. They're playing with Joe Thomas, who's used to playing in pass coverage, and stopping the run is paramount here.
Gain of 18 for Kelly. Cousins is such a good play-action passer. In traffic, held onto by Garçon, just shy of midfield and a first down.
Tell you, I'm impressed so far watching Kirk Cousins throwing the ball in these conditions right now. He is rifling this thing in here. Pierre Garçon without a drop pass all season long, but how many times we see that, Mike? You know, you hit a big run, you come right back with play action, all of a sudden the linebacker step up, here comes the crossing right in behind.
Washington offense is getting better, in part 32. Kelly, who you see there, has come in and taken over the running back position. He's on first down to the right, undrafted player out of Tulane, only gets a yard there. Joe Thomas with the tackle. Chris, we talked about Kirk Cousins. When the run game gets going, it seems to feed right into his skill set.
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, this Robert Kelly has come out of nowhere, really, to take over the running back position. And I don't know if this is going to make a lot of sense to everybody, but he makes a lot of 2-yard runs, 4-yard runs. And in the National Football League, if you can do that, if you have that kind of power to run the football, it just sets up everything else, keeps you on track for some of those play-action passes.
Chris Thompson, who's in now, is more of their third down back. This is second and 9, and it's complete and dropped. Jordan Reed unable to hold on, and that's such a story. Jordan Reed rarely drops the ball. Just the 7th on-target drop of his career. It's his 4th year in the league.
That's a nice play here by Blake Martinez. It was a clear catch. He just goes in and knocks the thing right out. But you can see the matchup issues that Jordan Reed is going to create for those inside linebackers.
There are his career drops. He had made 94 consecutive catches of balls thrown on target without a drop until that one that we just saw. So that's news there. He's more than 9.5 out of 10. Clay Matthews wanted an illegal motion penalty on Cousins, didn't get it. Cousins throws to Jackson, tried to put the feet down in bounds, but did not. Incomplete against his own defense, and Washington will be forced to kick it away.
Yeah, and I think already we're seeing from Dom Capers, he has no real interest in playing man coverage against these Washington Redskins receivers. They are just going to be very happy to sit back and hope that Clay Matthews and Nick Perry can get home with the pass rush, because they do not match up well with all the injuries in their secondary.
Tressway kicked it way out of bounds last time. Puts the nose down, tries to keep it towards the sideline with Cobb. Fair catch, 40 on the nose. He's got that to 10. And the Packers will have it for the 3rd time this evening when we come back. Green Bay's been so good for so long, you're just not used to a stretch like this. The losses at Atlanta, to Indy at Lambeau, and then to Tennessee, and 30-plus points allowed in each game hasn't happened in a decade. Now, they've scored 25 points a game, but they're one of 5 teams in league history to score that much in each of 3 straight losses. And for Mike McCarthy, you have to go back to 2008 to find a streak in this neighborhood. And these guys have been around, and they've been so successful. McCarthy, Rodgers leading them on the field, Ted Thompson, the general manager since 2005. But right now, it's a rare time. There's a little bit of angst. Fans are complaining. They're being vocal. Spoiled, perhaps, after making the playoffs 7 consecutive years. Ty Montgomery with the carry out to the 14-yard line. But, Chris, there's an example. This team has not been whole, especially on the offensive side, the first half of this season.
Well, when you see number 88 as your tailback, you know there's a few different things going on. And for Aaron Rodgers, right to the line of scrimmage, it's been an uncomfortable week for him as people have tried to tell him what he meant with his words.
Trying to jump into a little no huddle, get some rhythm going, and Montgomery runs only for a couple of yards. It's 8 plays for the Packers with not much to show for it. Ricky Jean-Francois with the tackle.
Well, and the other part of it is, let's face it, 2 of the best guards in football for the past 5, 6, 7 years are no longer in the starting lineup here. Josh Sitton now plays for the Chicago Bears. TJ Lang out with a leg injury. So there's some issues up front, too.
Trying to get the first down of the evening, 3rd and 4, and it's incomplete for Devontae Adams. So they're going to that other side on Bashaud Breeland, who shows up there, and that's 3 consecutive 3-and-outs for the Packers, much like last week.
I wish I had one of those golf trackers, you know, where you could follow the flight of the ball. I think this ball moved about 4 feet to the inside of where Aaron Rodgers threw it, because very rarely will you see him miss a stop route to the inside. That's the interception side.
I don't see it moving on that replay. Shum punting it to the sideline. Crowder, so dangerous, hemmed in on the sideline, but makes the most of it. He gets out of bounds right around the 46-yard line. It's a good field position for Washington. Their defense getting it done so far. Kirk Cousins grew up on the west side of the state of Michigan. Holland, Michigan, went to Michigan State, was here with Robert Griffin III. You didn't think he'd be the one setting the quarterback stat numbers and making some Redskin history for best numbers through 35 starts, but he has been that man. #1 in all these categories except for touchdown passes, one behind Mark Rippon, who had 58. The Redskins have had such inconsistency at the quarterback position, but they've settled on Cousins. And so far, he's making them look good last year and this. Slant to Garcon, and Pierre will gain about 7 yards. And there is Gunter and HaHa Clinton-Dix on the Green Bay tackle.
You know, it's the first time I really got to spend any time with Kirk Cousins, and he's an interesting guy. You know, you saw all the fiery stuff, and he even said that, you know, I was a lot like Phillip Rivers back in the day.
2nd down pass complete for the first down, held on to by Ryan Grant. And the forward progress. 3rd-year man out of Tulane will be marked at the 43-yard line.
Of course, everybody knows that you like that, you know, running off the field. And I said, who did you say that to anyway? He said there was just some poor reporter over there. I said, were you mad at him? He goes, no, I had to yell something to somebody. Last week, after a pass he thought should have been a pass interference call, he sprinted about 30 yards down the field to have a conversation. So he's got some of that stuff in him, and I think he kind of tries to balance when is it good and when is it not good.
On first down here, you see that strong arm he has. Throws it in the middle, but Morgan Burnett does a nice job breaking up the pass intended for Vernon Davis, and it's incomplete.
The one thing the Washington Redskins have to be able to do in this game throwing the football is try and go between those split safeties back there. They really want to sit there and play some zones and not take a lot of chances. So you'll see trying to get the tight end right down the middle of the field, and that time Morgan Burnett all over it. They're trying to make sure they get some push out of there and now get some crossing routes underneath.
To the air, 2nd and 10. Perry gets pushed past the spot. Cousins scrambles, runs. Will Aaron Rodgers move the pump fake past the line of scrimmage, and it'll make it 3rd more manageable.
Here's one that I find amazing over here. Ty Nsekhe, who has taken over for, I think, the best left tackle in football, and Trent Williams. And here's a guy with really very little experience whatsoever. Goes into that game against the Minnesota Vikings as a starter. Trent Williams suspended for 4 games. And he basically pitches a shutout in this one, and now he's got Clay Matthews and doing all right so far with him too.
This is game 2 of the 4-game suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. 3rd and 6, Cousins over the middle. It's brought in by Maurice Harris for the first down. They're starting to target Harris the biggest bodied wide receiver they have, a little bit more the last 2 weeks. 14 on that game.
Here we go, just some of those crossing routes. Now watch right there, Clinton Dix. He's going to jump the first crosser, but they come with the second crosser right in behind it. And so far, Kirk Cousins really delivering bullets all night long. He has been on target.
Hey, 382, Liz 50. Liz 50. Heavy.
Just to the play at the line, 1st and 10. Garcon again. Get to the 20-yard line. You pick up a 5 on 1st down. Hey, Chris, you were talking about his emotion and controlling some of that emotion. He's becoming, that whole line, comfortable in your own skin. He's becoming comfortable as the quarterback of the Redskins right now, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, $20 million will do that for you. You know, he was wanting a long-term deal, and he said that was the best offer I got. The 1-year deal, prove it. And he knows the next 7 games or so are going to have a lot to do with how long he stays in Washington.
Playing on the franchise tag for this 1 year, Kelly up the middle has a momentary tackle by Morgan Burnett, but got out of it and kept those feet going. And that's what you said, Chris. He turned nothing into about 2 or 3 yards with that carry.
There's something about in the National Football League, these guys that weigh, 225, 230, and you just can't bring them down with arm tackles. They just keep fighting. But look at the difference now. Now instead of a 3rd down and 7 and you got to drop back and shotgun and all that, now everything's open to you. They bring in Chris Thompson, who is really a key part of this offense on 3rd down at running back.
Deshaun Jackson in the slot. Cousins surveys. Goes to Deshaun Jackson for the touchdown. Penalty marker on the play. We'll check the flag.
It looked like there was a blow to the head on the far wide receiver out here. I don't know if that's what they caught.
First time we hear from John Hussey, the referee.
Release of the hands to the face, defense number 36. This penalty is declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
And Deshaun Jackson gets his 2nd touchdown reception on the season.
Well, watch the move by Deshaun Jackson up the field. Going to go fake out to your left and then just hit hard that post pattern. Again, going between those split safeties down the middle of the field. That's where they think they can work all night long.
It's a sweet move.
Yeah. He's something. He's the one guy that nobody wants to see in man coverage. He and Jordan Reed and Jamison Crowder, those guys are too tough, but it's hard to not come after him some too.
You're watching football all day, these have been adventures. 11 missed extra points, but despite the wind, Dustin Hopkins knocks it through. Good drive led by Kirk Cousins, capped off with a touchdown pass to Deshaun Jackson. 7-0 Washington. This week, Fallon's all new. Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Chenoweth, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kevin James, Leslie Mann, and The Weeknd. All new Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon this week only here on NBC. 7-0 Washington on top. They move the ball on their 2nd drive, and on the 3rd drive they score. Meantime, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, 9 plays, 9 yards, no first downs. Does the ball always know to fall just when the kicker starts to approach it?
It is amazing, isn't it?
We got 15 seconds while it's sitting on the tee. It doesn't blow down, but part of the story of the night.
You having fun? Good having you here, man.
It is great to be here. Great to be with you guys. As Al has a bye week here this week, so you're stuck with me for 3 games.
Good stuff.
It's not what you said. Everybody else. Rookie hazing continues all year long, all the way out of the back of the end zone. Touchback, and we go back to the Washington touchdown to Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, really great job by Kirk Cousins here. You're going to see movement over the top and really leaving just one-on-one here. Watch this post move in there. This is a heck of a route. Very patient by Deshaun Jackson. But Kirk Cousins really made it. He looked to his right. He looked to the next read, came all the way back. That's a good quarterback play, and he's been doing it all night long so far.
7 of 11 for 76 yards in that touchdown. Let's see if the Packers can get going. Last week, their first 3 drives, a couple of 3-and-outs, and then 1 first down. So similar slow start. Out quick cut by Richard Rodgers, the tight end, who made a man miss and gets to the 30-yard line, gain of about 5 yards.
Well, and they're hoping that tonight they get a little action out of Jared Cook, who has been injured, but he's that big, speedy tight end that they think can get in the middle of the field and work some of those triangle offenses that they like to play, but they haven't really been able to threaten the middle of the field so far this year.
Rodgers gets that one out quick. The coverage was tight, incomplete, intended for Randall Cobb. Kendall Fuller, the rookie, on the coverage. No first down, opening 3 drives, first time since 2010 when they went 0 for their first 5 drives, and they're threatening to go 0 for 4 here if they can't pick this one up.
Well, and let's just say, because it's going to be a game of which direction are you going tonight,
right.
too. They are going directly into the wind now, and Washington has had the wind at their back. So we'll see what happens when we flip at the quarter.
Third and 5, Redskins rush 4. Rodgers gets rid of it, and there's a first down. Ty Montgomery twist and turn to the 39 before the veteran Dante Whitner makes the tackle.
Well, I tell you, it opens up a lot of possibilities when you have a wide receiver playing running back. Ty Montgomery lines up in the backfield and is really just going to get out here in the flat. Nothing fancy about this at all, but he still was going to have to make one person miss to get the first down. No problem at all. Able to make the play there on Whitner.
Montgomery again lines up in the backfield. 50 left in this opening quarter. More rhythm on this drive. It's Richard Rodgers again. He'll carry Whitner right to the first down mark at the 49-yard line. So 2 catches here for Richard Rodgers, who has 19 receptions coming into tonight. It's Washington's defensive coordinator, Joe Barry.
Yeah, and I tell you, having Josh Norman on the field has really allowed him to do a lot more. You're seeing more man coverage and more attacking style of defense because they feel like with Josh Norman, he can lock down somebody so they can help elsewhere on the defense.
Rodgers pumps, eludes Kerrigan, reloads, and fires complete. Third one on this drive for Montgomery. And he's pushed out of bounds right near the first down marker.
Boy, I tell you, it sure looked like Ryan Kerrigan had him, didn't he? Made that little inside move, and it just looked like it was game on. And for Kerrigan, he was staring at sack number 8 right there, so you know he wanted it. But it's amazing how well Aaron sort of recomposes himself. After he, something crazy happens, he can get his mind refocused and find somebody down the field.
To Stark's run to the left, and Washington with good penetration. Eugene Francois, Will Compton going to make the tackle, gain of a couple of yards as we wind down to the end of this first quarter. So after the struggles for Green Bay, they get a little momentum here, and Mike McCarthy's team will have the benefit of the wind. At the line here, maybe squeeze off one more play before the end of the first. No, they won't. So end of the quarter here in Washington with the score Redskins 7, Packers nothing. And Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Tonight's Skycam coverage is brought to you by Geico. Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, our Sunday Night Football team. Glad to have you with us in Washington. It's been a while since Sunday Night Football has been here. And the Redskins fans happy about the momentum this team has built. Remember, they won their last 4 last year to win the division. 5-3-1. Trying to stay within shouting distance of the Cowboys, who they go visit on Thanksgiving. So after going into the wind in the opening quarter, Green Bay wind at their back as this drive starts 2nd and 8. And the Rodgers pass complete to Jordy Nelson in front of Bashaud Breeland, just short of the first down. Do you think the wind is a significant factor in how that first quarter played out offensively?
I think so. We really still haven't seen a deep pass down the field, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. But it's interesting that Kirk Cousins and the Washington Redskins have really been the more effective deep passing team on the year. We'll go through some of the numbers, but just intuitively you would say, well, Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, right, and the whole thing. But it has been the Redskins with some of their weapons that have been much better at those deep throws.
3rd and 2 for Rodgers at the 33.
Where do you go?
Empty backfield, that bunch to the right, and a delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense number 12. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It's really rare that you see that with Green Bay. You can hear the wind in John Hussey's microphone, and maybe you can see it in the numbers and the distance of the opening quarter passes.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for Aaron Rodgers. The one thing that I think maybe they've done too much of is just having Aaron scrambled around and kind of doing some sandlot stuff. We saw in that Tennessee game when he got back to some quick throws, get it out of his hands, protect his offensive line a little bit, they started moving quickly up and down the field.
3rd and 2 turns into 3rd and 7. That pass is deflected and incomplete. Sua Cravens, a 2nd-round pick out of USC, who's playing a great role in this defense with the deflection.
I tell you, this young man is exciting right here. He is going to loop around that way and come up and be right in the passing lanes. I mean, they are now starting to draft young men like this because of the Gronkowskis of the world, that you have to have a little size to you. You have to be able to play the run. You have to be able to blitz a little bit. And right now, he is becoming a bigger and bigger part of this defense, a real playmaker inside, number 36.
Field goal from here would be 56 yards. Given the wind, Green Bay is going to go for it from the 38 with Rodgers keeping it alive. Flag down, pass incomplete, intended for Randall Cobb. And the slot corner, Kendall Fuller, was over there. Let's check the penalty. Penalty flag thrown downfield on the opposite side of where the ball was thrown.
Boy, I tell you, Jordy Nelson was trying it wide open.
Before the pass was thrown, illegal use of the hands to the face. Number 26 on the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
Rashad Breeland keeps the drive going for Green Bay.
Take a look, and you want to get your hands on receivers, but as they dip down, you can't go to that head and neck area. And this is one of the things I've seen a little bit more than I've ever seen before. Jordy Nelson pops wide open across the field, and Rodgers doesn't see him. I mean, he has been his number 1 guy forever, and you know he's looking for Jordy Nelson on 4th down. And just to miss seeing that guy is very unusual.
Tough call on that one to keep a drive going. Starks to the right, puts his head down. Ziggy Hood, for Pittsburgh Steeler 1st rounder, part of that D-line rotation, makes the tackle for Washington. Gain of about 4 for Starks.
Yeah, but the one thing that you have to see more of is just the ability to run the football. I think they've been down to like 27% runs, something like that. Now, they throw the ball a lot anyway, but generally it's around 40%, down to 27%. And if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers' runs over the past 3 weeks, it would have been lower than that.
Chris, he has all their rushing touchdowns this year.
I know.
Aaron Rodgers. It's almost Thanksgiving, too.
Where do you go?
2nd and 6. Screen set up. Starks drops the ball. He is a very good screen runner that's been missing from the Packer offense, and man, that had a chance to gain a 1st down, if not more.
Tough to blame that one on the wind. It only went about 5 yards. But those are the kinds of plays that you just take for granted with the Green Bay Packers, that when you're in a slump and when things are going poorly, you don't make those kinds of plays. He might have still been running on that one. And of course, everybody knows Eddie Lacy, their tremendous young running back, is out. He's now on IR after that ankle surgery and really active for the game tonight as a pure running back. James Starks the only one.
3rd and 6. Washington brings some extra pressure. Rodgers surveys, has Starks, who holds on this time, but is going to be too shy of the 1st down. Whitner was chasing and hit him first. Let's see what McCarthy will do here. Field goal will be a 43-yard attempt.
Well, you can see that Aaron Rodgers now is trying to look at something down the field. They've got safeties deep. They're playing man coverage underneath, and they're just, you know, there just isn't that guy running wide open. I keep thinking maybe they'll come back to Devontae Adams. He's had the hot hand here lately, but haven't seen a lot of him either.
tells you about the wind here. This is with the wind at their back. What would be a 43-yard field goal attempt. They eschew that and try to keep the drive going. Rodgers looking for Nelson to get away from Trent Murphy, and he'll run for the first down. And because he slid forward, he gets all that slide yardage, and he was untouched. So he keeps going, but they rule that he gave himself up as he made the dive, so he'll be marked down at the 18.
Down by progress. He gave himself up. First.
Well, you know, just Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers and being great. You're going to see, going to come across here with the backside, and it looked like Jordy Nelson was going to be wide open for that first down, but then it was Murphy right in Rodgers' face. But you better not attack that guy too quickly, because that's what's made him Aaron Rodgers over the years.
And again, his running keeps this team going. Give to Montgomery, a little tough exchange there, but they gain 3. Just to go back to that play to clear it up. If you slide normally, like a baseball type slide, give yourself up, that's where you're marked. But since he wasn't touched, because he's sliding forward, if he would have gotten immediately up, since no Redskin touches him, he would have been able to score. But once his body came to that stop right there, they really give yourself up. And John Hussey did a good job of getting on the mic and explaining that. Still got the first down, and this is the best looking drive Green Bay's had in the first half.
Where do you go? Where do you go?
7, a lot of pressure for the Redskins. This could go. Jared Cook inside the 10. And it's first and goal for Green Bay. They signed him in February. They rarely sign free agents, Chris. They bring in Cook, who was with Tennessee for 4 years, and then the Rams, just to try to get a big tight end presence back in this lineup. And he's been injured most of this season.
Yeah, he really has. But this guy, his entire career has been a receiving, playmaking tight end. And with this offense, the one thing that they're trying to get back to, what Mike McCarthy wants, is somebody right in front of Aaron Rodgers that's always there, a big target, easy to find. Let's keep these drives alive.
Ready, go! Go!
First and goal from the 6. Look out, Cook had a walk-in touchdown, but he didn't spin his head around. He hasn't played with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who's going to give you that one.
It was the worst of all situations. By the time you run out of space over here, you're supposed to turn up the field. He was just in the process of turning up the field just as Aaron Rodgers was throwing it to the flat. So it is just a miscommunication there, and that's kind of the way some things have been going here lately.
Is that time spent together?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
GML! GML! Ready, go! 22! Where do you go?
Empty backfield, second and goal. Sling it underneath Devontae Adams. He'll be 3 shy of the touchdown. Bashad Breeland with the tackle.
Doing a pretty nice job up front so far. You know, they've got the 2 new guards in there, Lane Taylor and Don Barclay. A really great matchup on the outside here. Let's keep an eye on these pass rushers on the outside for the Washington Redskins. They have been a nightmare for teams all season long against 2 good tackles.
What a drive. 17th play of the drive. Can they pay it off with a touchdown? Looks like Washington's going to bring some pressure as Rodgers gets rid of it for the touchdown. And Ty Montgomery. Penalty flag thrown back by the quarterback.
Holding, offense number 67. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Barclay, who's in for TJ Lang at guard.
Yep, going up against the old Packer right there, Cullen Jenkins. And as Jenkins made that inside move, he still has it a little bit. It was Barclay who latched on. So once again, success undercut by a mistake.
You mentioned Jenkins, the old Packer. He plays, what, 16 snaps in the last game. He doesn't play much at this point in his career, part of the Super Bowl 45 team, but he got Barclay, who is in a starting role for the first time this year after the injury to the very dependable TJ Lang last week at Tennessee. 3rd and goal. Again the pressure. Rodgers eludes the rush, throws on the run, and Nelson can't hang on. Oh, they say touchdown. They say he had it and then knocked the ball out, but he had possession first. We had a flag when the blitzer was coming in. He hit Rodgers up by the face.
Sua Cravens cannot believe what just happened to him.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 36. Forcible blow to the head of the quarterback. The result of the play was a touchdown. This penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
We're also going to have to look at the touchdown and the reception here in the back of the end zone by Nelson.
Came on the slot blitz. Oof. There's the grabbing of the face mask, almost pulled it off, and somehow Aaron Rodgers got that front leg back on the ground and found Jordy Nelson. A remarkable play. Remarkable play by Aaron Rodgers. Here's the catch, tucked away. Because he wasn't going to the ground, I guess the period of time is much shorter there.
That's one of those interesting ones in the field of play, as you talk about. There's the play.
Is now under review.
Take a real-time look at it. He's spinning and turning it. If that happens in the middle of the field, that's not a catch. But it's in the end zone, so did he have it long enough? They'll look here, and they'll look at the Game Day Central in New York to decide.
After review, the call on the field stands. Touchdown. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Again, stands, so nothing clear and obvious to change the call on the field.
You see Aaron having to readjust his face mask just to find Jordy Nelson coming down there. You know, we were talking about it during the break. In the field of play, is that a catch?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. The end zone a little different. I always would say they're a catch. I hate taking points off the board. I mean, he caught the ball, was doing an act, tucking it away. In my mind, I would have left it alone too.
Well, he leads the NFL in red zone touchdown receptions. That was his 8th in the red zone, 9th of the year. What a play by Rodgers. And we're tied at 7 apiece. So day after Thanksgiving, the real chaos is not going to be the Malls. It'll be on the ice. The Rangers take on the Flyers. NHL Thanksgiving Showdown. Two of the top scoring teams in the NHL. And the Rangers off to an excellent start behind Montreal and Chicago. So you'll have NHL hockey for you on the Friday after Thanksgiving here on NBC.
I still have my money on the Mall.
For the chaos? Because of the penalty. That was not enforced. The Redskins have their hands team on as Mason Crosby comes to midfield for the kickoff, the 15-yard penalty. It's a touchback. So Washington will get it at the 25.
We've talked about the Green Bay Packers secondary, and you'll see some of these numbers pretty remarkable from Pro Football Focus. Those are quarterback ratings against each of those defenders. And when you look at the number of touchdowns, and a 112 quarterback rating would win you the MVP, and that's the lowest one of the bunch right now. Clearly, the injuries have really hurt Dom Capers in this defense. It was a secondary built around Sam Shields. Okay, he's out. We've got Demarius Randall, first-round pick. He's out. Now we have issues.
Redskins working against the win from the 25. Cousins throws, and Rob Kelly cannot bring it down. That pass is incomplete. Clay Matthews bringing heat on the quarterback.
Yeah, we're starting to get Clay Matthews warmed up here a little bit, and they desperately need it. He's going to come right around the edge here. An aggressive move to the outside by Inseki. But for Clay Matthews, there's no question. This is just a different defense. We talked about Sam Shields and the cornerstone in the back end. The cornerstone on the front end is this guy, and it has been for a long time, and they're a different defense without him. And now he's playing outside instead of inside.
It's almost like he's back home. You know? 2nd and 10. And Cousins, this throw incomplete as he tried to get it to Chris Thompson. And so Washington will have a 3rd and long.
Isn't it funny, all those easy-looking throws from Kirk Cousins in the first quarter going that way all of a sudden don't look quite as easy out there. I mean, it is really rough, and I'm a bit of a wimp when I go down on the field, and I was off that field in a hurry. It was cold, and that wind just whips. It was hard to even describe which way it was blowing sometimes.
Costas was sitting on the set during Football Night in America. You were sitting underneath to shield yourself. Flag thrown here.
Full start. Offense number 80. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And Jamison Crowder. We talked about how long that drive was. About an 8-minute drive with the win for Green Bay at the back end of it. Chris, they could be right back on the field as Washington defense. So this is one of those times when the game can change in momentum because of what the Packers are able to do on offense.
Yeah, and because the stadium's so enclosed, once the wind gets down in this bowl, it just starts going crazy directions.
Try to set the screen. Julius Peppers went up to tip it, and it's incomplete, and he hit the deck hard as he was exposed. 6'7" Julius Peppers, go back to his college basketball days in North Carolina. That was like a tip-in.
This guy, well, he's going to the Hall of Fame, and certainly, and this is one of his skills. He's blocked a bunch of kicks. Watch him get up. Holy cow, and that ball was hanging forever. Thought for sure somebody was going to get him, and then all of a sudden it was Sean Laval who got him.
Forget tipping, that was a blocked shot. Third pass he's deflected this year. Tress Way kicking. Cobb will take the 47-yard kick at his own 33. Cobb returns it about 11 yards, and Green Bay will have good field position as they are coming back. Packer injured. We'll check on that player when we come back. Well, to use the term voting, who do you want to see play in this year's Pro Bowl game in Orlando? You can vote. NFL.com/Pro Bowl vote. Every vote counts, it says, so vote today. You know, we mentioned going to break, there was an injury, Dimitri Goodson. It was a nasty-looking injury. No need to show the replay of it, but the medical staff immediately out, and the cart as well for Goodson. A cornerback for these Packers in his third year. This guy played basketball for the early part of his career at Gonzaga, and then finished up playing football at Baylor.
He did get the start week 7 and 8 at left cornerback because of the groin injury to Quentin Rollins and to Demarius Randall. So certainly hope that young man's all right. Has a very bright future in front of him.
He was involved in the punt coverage and the tackle, and just got a body or two laying on his leg and got bent in the wrong direction. So Green Bay athletic training staff and medical personnel here in Washington will look after Goodson as the Packers will get back to offense and take over at their own 44. Game tied at 7. Deshaun Jackson caught a 17-yarder from Kirk Cousins on the last drive. Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson to tie it up. It's going to be 9 minutes till halftime, and James Starks will space here for 6 or 7 yards. And Chris, Green Bay controlling the offensive line a little bit as Goodson is taken back to the locker room.
Got a few good blocks on this one. Don Barclay is going to come down and make a nice block here, and then it's Aaron Ripkowski who comes and gets the secondary block from the fullback position. So a little, you can sense a little bit of Green Bay maybe trying to get back to their running game now and helping their play action passing game and taking a little pressure off of Aaron Rodgers.
319.
Right around midfield, Rodgers stops on a dime as he saw Kerrigan, unloads downfield, and it's incomplete. Jeff Janis was running and was double covered. You mentioned, Chris, the running game getting going a little bit. Mike McCarthy told us this week, you're getting Christian Michael from Seattle, who is inactive tonight. We actually have a running back room that looks like it's full. We have 5 real running backs in the room. It's been Montgomery, maybe a little Randall Cobb tonight. Mike would love to get back to being able to get some balance and some rhythm and pace in this offense.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers liked that too. He said he's got 6 touchdowns. We don't have anybody like that around here.
Michael just coming in after being let go in Seattle because C.J. Prosise has come along so well. They'll have him next week. 3rd and 3. Rodgers pass complete. On the run, it's Cobb for the first down. Inside the 35-yard line to the 34, a gain of 15.
Well, I tell you, we've got to keep an eye on something now. Chris Baker's really giving Don Barclay some problems right here. He's pushing him right back into Aaron Rodgers. Aaron stood in there that time and somehow delivered a strike. But Barclay's going to have to be able to win that battle. No question about it. Chris Baker, their toughest inside bull rusher.
Lang got hurt early in that Tennessee game. Barclay played essentially the whole game, 74 snaps. Packers looking for the lead. Here is Starks. Will Compton couldn't make the tackle. Josh Norman over there, but a good gain on first down for Starks. Washington pulled the ball away, but it was down.
Down by contact.
And a flag is thrown on Norman. So Norman threw the ball after that whistle was blown saying down by contact, and one of the officials farther away saw it and threw the flag for what will probably be a delay of game penalty and a 5-yarder.
You know, a little Richard Sherman, I mean, the guy's playing football. The ball landed in his lap.
Delay of game. Number 24, the defense. They're spiking the ball into the ground. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Unfortunately, what they're going to say, let's take a look at the play first, see if that ball came out or not. Did not. The elbow was on the ground, but it just lands in Josh Norman's lap, so he assumed it did. And then we see this all the time. Guys get frustrated with a call, and that's clearly a penalty. That's the absolute right call.
As the 11th penalty on Josh Norman. He has more penalties than any player in the league. And that one gives Aaron Rodgers a first down at the 24-yard line. Rodgers complete to Richard Rodgers again. So they're spreading the ball here, and Green Bay's offense is finding a rhythm from late in that first quarter.
Well, and it's really what they're going to have to do. They're beginning to isolate some receivers on the backside, on the single receiver side, and taking advantage of that coverage, that time beating Dante Whitner with Richard Rodgers. So you can tell they're looking for tight ends more in this game. Take a look at the wind, and tell you, when you can throw a spiral like that, it doesn't matter, right?
Rotation. The 13, the give to Starks. Made the first man miss, but it was a flag. Cravens feels like he was held by Barclay.
Holding. Offense over 67. 10-yard penalty. First down.
And that's where the speed of Sua Cravens comes into play. Those defensive back-like linebackers that we're starting to see coming over here. Watch Barclay. You'll just see Cravens beat him to the spot. And then Barclay really has no choice but to reach out and grab him. In that case, it's always better to let him go. Right. You know, give those backs a chance. They're getting paid money too. Oftentimes they can make that linebacker miss.
I love the point you made before. I think of Dayon Buchanan with the Cardinals. This is a trend in the league to try to combat so many 3 receivers. The teams are in 3 receiver sets 2/3 of the time. So get somebody in there who can play the run and cover as well. 1st and 20 for Rodgers. Again, he's the best at this, extending the play, and he's got a ton of room to run inside the 10. He'll throttle it down just around the 5-yard line.
What a great play here. How smart a play by Davante Adams. He sees Rodgers getting loose on the corner. So he's down there. He knows he's in man coverage, so he's going to peel back the other way. Sees the man coverage, takes off deep down the field, which forces Breeland to go with him. And Breeland's got his back turned the whole time that Rodgers is running right at him. Just a really smart football play by Davante Adams.
It's funny. You think of scramble drills for receivers, and it's work with your quarterback. Here, that's one of the best things you can do. Work away from him. Give him space to run.
Not me. I was going back to the ball.
Play clock running down as the second delay of game, unless they give him the timeout. Let's see.
Before the penalty, number 12 of the offense, call timeout. This is our first charge timeout. Green Bay, this will be a 30-second timeout.
Come here at the 5-minute mark, game time at 7.
You know, we're starting to see a strategy emerge here for the Green Bay Packers, and that being they can't get their hands on Aaron Rodgers. Even when guys are coming unblocked, they can't get their hands on him. So what are they doing? They're going 5 wide. They're just splitting everybody out and going, okay, maybe we can't block all your guys up front, but let's see if you can tackle number 12 or not. And so far, that's really what's turned this game around, that and the win.
Right, and the question is, can they keep doing it this way as you go through the season? I mean, you're asking your quarterback to do a lot, but if there's anyone who you're going to ask to do a lot, this guy's been the MVP in the league a couple times.
He's the most physically talented quarterback that there is. There are other guys that can throw with him. There are other guys that can run with him. There isn't anybody that can do both with him.
You used the tennis term, holding serve. This was with the wind. Washington had the advantage in the first quarter. Green Bay's had the wind here in the second quarter, and they've got all 7 first downs. If you're just joining us, the wind that just swept through, it turned temperatures from the 70s to the 30s. from the Midwest on through the Northeast. It's been a factor throughout the weekend in football games. Has changed the tenor here of this one.
Let's go! 319!
Out of the timeout, 2nd and 3, and it starts. Washington has this strung out. Read well. That's Will Compton. A great story, Chris. Will Compton was undrafted. He was on the practice squads, on the scout team. Then Keenan Robinson got hurt, and he had to play, and guess what? It was so good. Keenan Robinson didn't get back his job, and now Compton is the communicator, the guy who gets that defense lined up.
And the coaches will tell you he is not the most physically talented linebacker they have. But every time they put him in the game, the defense as a whole was better, and now he's the team captain. So, you know, he is just, it's nice to see those guys that have earned their way into prominent roles in this league.
3rd and 5.
Wrong arm! Ready to go!
Again, close to the play clock. Look out, Kerrigan's got Rodgers back at the 20-yard line. Ryan Kerrigan's 8th sack of the season.
Anytime you see that AA blitz inside, these two guys, these linemen have to block down, which means Kerrigan's going to get a free run. So Aaron Rodgers has to understand the call up front is going to leave him unblocked. Really nothing the offensive line could do there.
These are always the hard kicks. Mason Crosby, goal posters shaking, hot dog wrappers blowing, high snap. Crosby, a solid stroke, bangs it through from 37 yards. And for the first time tonight, the Packers on top. They were looking for a touchdown, but Ryan Kerrigan's 8th sack of the year turned it to a field goal. NBC's Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Lexus. By DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. By Corona Extra, who invite you to find your beach. And by Gap, share your gift. The great Vince Lombardi, of course, a tie that binds these two franchises. Legendary Packer coach of the championships there. Then after 1 year as the GM, became the head coach of the Washington Redskins in 1969. Passed away right after that, but he was able to do in Washington what he did in Green Bay, and that was turn around a moribund franchise. That one season he was here, a franchise that had no history of winning. This will be a touchback. Take it back to the 25-yard line. Let's take you through that. Of course, Green Bay pre-Lombardi had struggled 11 consecutive non-winning seasons. Lombardi hired at 7-5 record, which eventually led to the 5 NFL titles in 9 seasons. Then after the 1 year as the GM, took over a Redskin franchise that had 13 consecutive non-winning seasons, went 7-5-2. Of course, if you're a football historian, you know Lombardi passed away before that next season, before the 1970 season. But one of the greats, of course, always tied to the Packers franchise, but part of the Redskins history as well. Kelly with the carry, and he is snowed under Mike Daniels, who's been having a really good season. Big loss on first down.
Tell you what, Mike Daniels and his wrestling moves, talking about a guy that's under 6 feet tall and essentially can make plays underneath offensive linemen. Here working against, who was that? Brandon Sheriff, his old teammate back in Iowa. But it is really fun to watch Mike Daniels play the game. He is a guy that he's a wrestling fanatic. He absolutely loves it. He understands the leverage of using his opponent's weight against him. He said the whole thing is just a fist fight, right, Mike? Yes. Where you're going in there and you just have to get your hands inside. How would you like to see that come out as your opponent?
In high school.
No, thank you. Right. Just go out and lay down on the mat and say, all right, let's go have a beer.
And he talked about Aaron Donald and some of the other players who he really admires, that whole leverage thing. He said, watch the Olympics, not necessarily the biggest or the strongest. It's the guy who knows how to use his leverage properly, and he applies those tactics here in the league. Green Bay took a timeout because of that wind factor you're talking about here, a chance to get the ball back quickly here in this half. From the 22, inside give to Chris Thompson, and a good run by Thompson will get him to the 31-yard line. It's 4 shy of the first down with 3:20 left until halftime. Clinton Dix, the tackle.
Boy, how much do they love Chris Thompson around here? I mean, basically, Jay Gruden saying, you know, I can't play him as much as I want to play him because I have to get 16 games out of this guy. When we get down to third down and passing situations, this guy is the guy, and he is a heck of a pass protector for a little guy as well.
3rd and 4, Green Bay rushing 4. Cousins fires over the middle, complete to Reed. Jordan Reed into Green Bay territory. Big first down for Washington to the 43-yard line.
It's really just a zone defense, but Jordan Reed so quick going out against Micah Hyde here really convinced them that he was going to the outside. I don't know that there is another route runner like Jordan Reed in the National Football League. Mike, you see them all. There just aren't guys that play that position that can make so many people look bad in man coverage.
Got Micah Hyde there, gain of 26, and now Kelly runs to the right. Morgan Burnett makes the tackle, but that's a good first down gain, and Kelly unhappy with Burnett as we come up to the 2-minute warning.
That was a huge pass that they hit to Jordan Reed. They get the negative run on first down, and now they have their own drive going.
2-minute warning here in Landover. Packers by 3. Washington going to Dallas on Thanksgiving. Dak and Dez rolling again. The Toyota halftime. We'll talk about their 9th straight win. Russell Wilson in Seattle staying hot. Bob Costas here to look at our Thanksgiving night game. Steelers Colts all coming up on the Toyota halftime. 2nd and 5. Washington on the move, and Cousins surveys again, and one more time to Reed. Got a first down with his last catch, and this one's very close. Inside backers, Blake Martinez, Joe Thomas on the stop. First down, Washington.
A nice job by that offensive line. We're starting to see the Packers now trying to do some stunts and loops because they're not really in field goal range here, because at least what I saw in pregame warm-up, this is going to be a nightmare if they had to kick one from there. So that was a big first down.
Well, Michelle mentioned at the top, kicking field goals in this direction. The bigger issue of the two choices. From the 35, corner blitz coming. Micah Hyde didn't get there in time. And there's Reed with a nice move in the open field. Jordan Reed to the 15. 3 catches on this drive for the first down. Joe Thomas missed the tackle.
They brought a lot of pressure, 6 men on the pressure coming off the edge, and that meant that poor Joe Thomas was stuck on the outside against basically a slot receiver, Jordan Reed, and believe me, Joe, you're not the only one that would miss in that situation.
Well, 3 timeouts, Washington at the 15-yard line. Pass by Cousins, caught by Jamison Crowder for a gain of 5. See if Jay Gruden uses a timeout here. 45 seconds to go. Washington will take 1, and we're back in 30 seconds. Well, the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award being given out for the 3rd straight year, honoring players who exemplify outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Each team nominates 1 player, and 2 terrific nominees for these teams. Julius Peppers, Green Bay, and the Washington quarterback, Kirk Cousins. A panel of NFL legends going to select the 8 finalists. The winner will be decided by a vote of current players, and that'll be handed out at the NFL Honors Award Show on the night before the Super Bowl. 2nd and 5. They've used Jordan Reed a lot on this drive. 3 catches for 49 yards. And he's one of the 3 tight ends Washington has in right now. 2nd and 5, and they will run with Kelly up the middle. First down and touchdown for Robert Kelly. They might be going for 2 here, and perhaps because of the wind, but they're lining up to go for 2. Kelly with the touchdown run, his 2nd.
Big blocks over here on the double team, and then Reed and Laval are going to lead their way right through there. Good tight running in there by Robert Kelly too. Boy, that was an impressive drive into the wind.
Yes. Mike
McCarthy had so much confidence that his defense was going to make a stop, called the timeout, and now here they are going for 2.
Chris Thompson, the back. Cousins adjusts the play. Outside over here to the right. They'll go back to the run, and Thompson will be stopped. Clinton Dix got him first. He's still going in that scrum. Finally is stopped, so it remains a 3-point game at 13-10. Interesting strategy there to go for the 2. You would think the wind impacting it there. Kelly the touchdown. Washington the lead. This time I promise we'll be back at 30. Washington on top after that 8-play drive, 13-10. Let's go downstairs, and here's Michelle.
Well, you saw Jordan Reed on that drive being able to move in ways that other players can't move. Look at this one. They call this his crossover move. Reed told me he grew up playing basketball every day, and he said, I just use the same kind of movements I use playing basketball, the same footwork and smoothness. And Vernon Davis told me Reed runs routes kind of like he has a basketball in his hands, and Davis is now trying to emulate those moves, Mike.
Well, those are pretty good ones. He's a terrific athlete, was a very good star in Connecticut during his high school days, then went down to Florida where he played tight end. He even started a game at quarterback to show how good an athlete he was. That's the position he mainly played in his high school days in Connecticut before going down to play for the Mighty Gators.
Didn't you call that game? They won it, right? They won a bowl game.
They won a bowl game. They played Penn State, and he was the starting quarterback. Show for a game. There's a short kick into the wind, tough to catch, but good to have Jeff Janis's hands back there to bring it in. Sua Cravens made the first hit, and then Terrence Garvin will clean him up around the 15-yard line. 32 seconds left, and just one timeout for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Really pretty impressive night for both these quarterbacks, especially given the conditions out here. But I just cannot emphasize enough as we look back on this game, the drive that Kirk Cousins just put together going into the wind, where it looked like that was going to kind of be the deciding factor, not just scoring the touchdown, but eating up all that clock from Aaron Rodgers. They burned the timeout and now only have one to work with, and they're backed up.
Washington has the choice to start the second half. You assume they get the ball. Bad snap that Rodgers had to pull in, and he's just going to go down. He'll be sacked back at the 8-yard line. Big old Chris Baker gets his 3rd of the season. And one of the Packers linemen slow to get up as well.
They cannot have another injury on this offensive line. Of course, David Bakhtiari came into this with a knee injury. They were unsure, had to leave that last game. And boy, I tell you, that would be a huge loss. And I think Mike McCarthy said enough is enough.
Get out of here and get to halftime and figure out what the plan is for the second half. Touchdown by Washington late gives them the lead at the break, 13-10. Toyota halftime coming up, but first these messages from your local NBC station.
Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
Sunday night. Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, stop clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen.
Cousins surveys, goes to Deshaun Jackson for the touchdown. Rodgers eludes the rush, throws on the run, touchdown.
Remarkable play by Aaron Rodgers.
Look out, Kerrigan's got Rodgers back at the 20-yard line. Touchdown for Robert Kelly.
Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 2 years in a row.
And back at FedEx Field, 10 miles away from our nation's capital, on this blustery Sunday night in November, Aaron Rodgers led a very good drive, a 17-play drive, longest of his terrific career, to get Green Bay on the board after a sluggish first quarter. Cousins, very good, working with the wind in the first quarter, but as Chris alluded to, big drive at the end of the half to put Washington on top by 3. The lone Green Bay touchdown, Jordy Nelson, who leads the NFL 8 in the red zone, 8 of his 9 touchdown catches. We've been watching the wind throughout the night. It was really blowing late afternoon, and just before kickoff, you've seen many papers flying around the stadium, and perhaps just a bit of the bite of the wind has gone down. But the third quarter here, Washington had the choice to start the second half. They'll take the ball, and Green Bay will be kicking left to right here.
Yeah, and they're going to give them the win to start and then take the win in the fourth quarter. So I like that strategy, as long as the win stays the same way.
Mason Crosby kicks it, can't get it all the way back to the end zone, so it will be returned across the 20, getting it to the 27-yard line will be Chris Thompson. And they'll stop him there, and we'll go down to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Packers cornerback Demetri Goodson will not return from that left knee injury he suffered in the first half. So Mike McCarthy will rely a lot on his safeties here in the secondary. Morgan Burnett and Micah Hyde both have a lot of experience in the slot. Now, how big is the wind of a factor? Well, Mike McCarthy said it's like calling two different games down here, depending on which way you're driving. And as you said, Chris, he has chosen to have the wind at their back in the fourth quarter.
Trying to get that offense going in case they are behind. Again, the Packers have lost their last 3 games, trying to avoid a 4-game losing streak and falling a couple behind in the NFC North. Both Detroit and Minnesota won earlier today. Howard Kelly has the touchdown for that first half. Clay Matthews brings him down after a gain of 3.
I have to tell you, one of the surprises for me as I started to study the Washington Redskins was the play of their offensive line. Brandon Sheriff, the guy that the high draft pick, certainly got the job done. Spencer Long, who's come in and surprised everybody how well he's played there. And then Morgan Moses doing a nice job on that side. And Secchi on the other side holding his own all night long with Clay Matthews. Very impressive by him. And that drive and their running ability had a lot to do with their taking the lead.
Running to the right now with Thompson. He'll be pushed down to the sideline. Morgan Burnett comes across the field. Good speed to make the play. This Washington offensive line is coached by Bill Callahan, who did coach the Raiders in the Super Bowl, who were defeated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he's been a terrific offensive line coach. Think of the ground and pound Jets. He was their offensive coordinator when they went to back-to-back AFC Championship games. And he was with Dallas, that group that we laud as the best in the league right now. He helped those guys as they came in. He's done a terrific job with his Washington offensive front.
Insists on perfection.
3rd and 6. Cousins about to get hit. Threw it for Deshaun Jackson. Incomplete. A flag comes down on the hit by Mike Daniels. Let's see if it will be 15 on the Packer defensive lineman.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 76. Contact to the helmet area of the quarterback. Automatic, first down.
So instead of 3 and out, first down Washington.
You know, he's not a big guy, and when he got into him, does a little loop around, and you could see just standing essentially straight up. I think the helmet caught the helmet, and you saw Kirk Cousins look immediately for the official and got the call. That hurts.
Both ways. Probably hurts Cousins more, but it hurts the Packers as they don't get off the field, and Washington has it at the 46. Left. Dance for a couple of yards. Michelle?
Yeah, the wind a factor for Jay Gruden as well. He told me they went for 2 after the Rob Kelly touchdown because he didn't want to kick it in this wind. And now with the Packers' depleted secondary, he likes his matchups across the board. He wants to see his offense run the ball better and throw to the outside receivers to take advantage of that depleted secondary, Mike.
It's great to clarify that, Michelle, because mathematically at 13-10, you're thinking take the extra point. Don't leave it a field goal game, but the conditions change that, and maybe those 11 missed extra points today factor in as well. Kelly again across midfield. I think Perry was holding him. Morgan Burnett finished him off. 3rd down coming up.
It's amazing how thin the Green Bay Packers are right now in their secondary, and basically playing the game with safeties. Now when they want to add another defensive back, they don't add a corner, they add another safety in Kentrell Bryce, who's in there. So the matchups, you almost begin to think, I wonder if the Redskins would put more wide receivers on the field and see if they can take advantage of that matchup.
Bryce got matched up with the tight ends against Tennessee, and Delaney Walker had a big first half. Cousins pressured, steps up, fires in the middle, complete. And it is Reed for the first down at the 21-yard line. And it's Bryce who makes the tackle after a gain of 28.
Well, and what's happening is they're sprinting people right down the middle of the field and then coming in with these crossing routes. And because Kirk Cousins was able to step up and buy that extra bit of time, every time we would call in the huddle in Cincinnati one of those deep crossing routes, our quarterbacks would look at the offensive line and go, look, guys, we need about 3.5 seconds here for this to work. But I promise you, if you make that block, we'll win. That's exactly what happened.
So Hawks, 180, what's up?
He had a good game. He's here to block and lead the way for Kelly. Strong first down run to the 15-yard line.
They found something they like right there, too, because that's the same exact play they scored the touchdown on.
Remember the O-line here back in the day, the Hogs? Washington had a big offensive line. This is the Hogs circa 2016. Look at the size of these guys. Laval's a short guy at 6'3", but 315, 325. Really huge, imposing, long arm tackles. But the Hogs back in the day, Chris, they seemed big back then. Look at this.
Oh, my goodness. Bostic was 245? Wow.
Unbelievable.
He would be a wideout today.
It's incredible how the era has changed 3 decades later.
Hogs. Or really just the piglets.
14, here's Kelly. He's going to be stopped there. It'll be 3rd down and 4. That's what's different about this place. And the Redskins were so good for so many years. The Joe Gibbs era, I think it was, 10 playoffs in his 16 seasons, 3 different quarterbacks, 2, and winning the Super Bowl. But it's been a quarter century since they've been to back-to-back playoffs. So Dan Snyder, you haven't heard a lot from Dan Snyder. Joe Theismann, you see sitting back there. They're trying to build with Bruce Allen in the front office as the president. Scott McClone is the general manager. Trying to build this thing the right way and sustain some success. Division champs a year ago. 3rd and 4, Cousins chased by Peppers and brought down for the sack. Julius Peppers.
Oh my goodness.
On the board again.
Deshaun Jackson was wide open. Nobody in sight. And I think this is a little bit of a product of Morgan Moses not feeling too well out here. Here's Jackson going right across the field. Watch this one. Nobody. And for Morgan Moses, he's trying to suck it up on the outside out there, but he has been limping around all night long with that bad ankle.
37-yard field goal attempt for Hopkins. Cleanly struck, and he knocks it through, so Washington leads by 6. 16-10. NBC's Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. By Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families. And by Volkswagen. At the University of Maryland on Saturday over in College Park, the Stags at DeMatha defeated St. John's. It's their 4th straight Washington Catholic Athletic Conference title, finishing a perfect 12-0 season. A ton of great athletes over the years out of DeMatha in this area. That ball didn't hit in the end zone, so it's free. It is loose, and Richard Rodgers saves it at the 2. Again with the wind, tough to judge those kicks. That ball just laying there, and Jeff Janis couldn't get to it. Richard Rodgers saves the day. Packers ball, and they're lucky to have it.
What I love about football the most is basically the discipline that it comes with it, because it's not only in football but it's in life. I'm going against the best of the best in the world, and those that say I can't cover them, well, let's put that to the test. That's for me. I enjoy that. I get a kick out of that. I get up for that, and that is why I play this game.
Went from 5th round pick with Carolina to All-Pro last year to big money free agent signing for Washington. Josh Norman has been a big positive for this Redskins defense. And the Packers backed up with their own 2. They give inside with Aaron Ripkowski. Gives breathing room to this offense out to the 9-yard line.
Yeah, no question. How about Josh Norman? We saw Carolina the other night, and they look like a different team, at least early in the year without him. I think nobody was more stunned than Josh Norman was. He called everybody when he got word that they had basically rescinded the tag on him, and he called the general manager, he called the head coach, he called the owner and said, "What is up?" Said I had to pull the car off the side of the road. Did not want to go anywhere else, but then things started happening pretty fast from there.
Rodgers to Devontae Adams, who drops that. And it's incomplete over to Norman's side here. He plays this side of the field and doesn't travel very often, but has done a really good job for Washington as the season's gone on.
Yeah, there's one time Devontae Adams' quickness got him, though, turned around Josh Norman. He always has the heavy lifting, no question about it, when they bring somebody out there on him. But he has brought a little attitude to this defense and a much-needed element.
Don Barclay, starting right guard, has been replaced. Jason Spriggs, the rookie second-round pick out of Indiana, is playing guard. 3rd and 3 up top. It is Cook, Jared Cook, across midfield and pushed out of bounds by Will Blackman. They beat the veteran safety Dante Whitner for the big play.
It's exactly what they were looking for, right? Jared Cook, right off the bat, going up against Whitner, just one-on-one, just too fast, a better athlete. And they get that 3-by-1 set going. We see it all the time with Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham and all those things. And just believing that if you're going to leave a safety or a linebacker on that fast tight end on that side, we're taking it every time.
47 yards on the gain to Cook.
Ready, go!
Flips the field for the Packers.
Ready, go!
Rodgers first down. It's to Richard Rodgers, who gained about 2 or 3 yards. Chris, you have to go back to when Jermichael Finley was here to go to the last time that there was a steady, difference-making tight end in this Green Bay offense. And in the pure West Coast, which they still run some of, that's a huge part of the team.
Well, it's all a matchup game, right? And you want to leave safeties on the field to try and stop the run game, so you put 2 tight ends in, and sometimes you leave them in tight and you want to just go power football, but then they leave safeties on the field and no defensive backs. Go, fine, let's split them out, let's go one-on-one and take advantage.
Drive for the half of the Packers. We're halfway through the quarter as Rodgers retreats and floats one up top. It's pulled down by Randall Cobb at the 20-yard line. Gain of 22 and a first down.
I tell you, this was a good move at halftime by Mike McCarthy. Jason Spriggs right here is one of the better pass blocking players in college football a season ago, and he has given there a little more time to work it down the field. Nice play by Randall Cobb.
There's a flag down the back end of the play. Here's John Hussey.
Delay game. Defense number 26. Taking the football and throwing it downfield. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's 2 delay games on the Redskins, both on their starting corners for just silly stuff.
Yeah, but that double move that time by Randall Cobb is only possible when you get that extra time, you know, and you just saw it. I really like the move, and I don't know what kind of pure run blocker Jason Spriggs is, but I think if he can shore up over there and make sure Chris Baker doesn't get in Aaron Rodgers' face, good things are going to happen in the passing game.
Ready, go!
First and 5, this is a flag, dangerous with Murphy, Trent Murphy in the way. Pass for Cook is incomplete. Here's Michelle.
We mentioned Jason Spriggs in at right guard. Don Barclay, who started at that position, is questionable with a shoulder injury. Well, that leaves Green Bay with just one other offensive lineman left, and that is Kyle Murphy, Mike.
Yeah, the 6th-round rookie out of Stanford. They dressed 7 for the night. J.C. Treader, who would be the starting center, out with an injury, a knee injury, missing his 3rd game. And T.J. Lang, the stalwart at guard, is out. The spot that Barkley was occupying, and now Spriggs.
They do cross-train those linemen, so they play multiple positions. Good thing.
15, Rodgers flips it complete to Devontae Adams. Minimal game. Yeah, Chris, we take it for granted because we see so many Rodgers games, but he's so good. He's retreating in that flick, even into the wind. It's just such a good pass that he throws.
Yeah, every once in a while, you know, you want to say, all right, high school quarterbacks don't watch this, you know, because he's a rare guy that can make those throws accurately, and it almost doesn't matter. You see him kind of hop away from the throw. You know where he got that one, right? Brett Favre, and, you know, getting your feet moving so that people don't come on into your knees.
3rd and 8. Remember, field goals down this way are the tough ones to make in the wind. Is that movement up front? Redskins started coming over. They thought they saw movement from the Packers. We'll see what the officials say.
Full start. Offense number 78. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It's the new guy in there, Spriggs.
Yeah, you're just not used to getting all these hard snap counts, and well, we saw how hard the Washington Redskins were working on that snap count. They did not want to give Aaron Rodgers any of those free plays. Matter of fact, they went so far as to say, if you jump off sides, don't jump back to try and get on sides. You go grab Aaron Rodgers, because otherwise he's going to throw it in our end zone.
They got burned on one of those Rodgers specials, the free plays in the wild card game in January, turned into a touchdown. Geronimo Allison, the rookie free agent of Illinois, one of the receivers in there for Green Bay on this 3rd and 13. 5 of the pattern for Rodgers. Flicks it over the head of Allison and incomplete. And it'll be 4th down, and from here it will be a 36-yard field goal attempt. Michelle.
Yeah, in the pre-game, Mason Crosby converted a 41-yarder in this direction. As you said, it's very, very tough kicking in this direction. He said he could go 45 to 46, but he said the wind is coming in and then bouncing right back in your face in this direction is what makes it so difficult.
He said he's going to try and hit it hard right down the middle because he was missing both ways.
Missed it left. No good. So the penalty, getting down here. The windy conditions, upright shaking at him. Just missed it a little bit to the left. Talk about your good games next weekend in the Premier League. Chelsea's top of the table with 28 points. Tottenham hasn't lost. 6 wins, 6 draws. Terrific game. A little London derby action. Chelsea and Tottenham will be at Stamford Bridge, and we'll have it for you 12:30 Eastern on NBC on Saturday. Redskins take over after the miss from the spot of the miss. The 26. Robert Kelly still moving, and he gains about 3 yards. Let's go back, Chris, to that missed field goal.
Yeah, just take a look up here on top of the goalpost. You got 14 miles an hour blowing right into the kicker, and you could see Crosby at the end of the kick. He sort of did his hand the other way, like I thought it was going to break to the right, and it broke to the left, but it was exactly what was happening to him in pregame. He would kick after kick. One would go left and one would go right. He said, he's got to try and hit it hard down the middle, see what happens. That time worked against him.
2nd and 7 from the 29. Deep drop Cousins. Check it down. Not much there for Jordan Reed. By the way, didn't you ask for that in the first half? Like that golf pro tracer on the ball?
Yeah.
And Fred Gaudelli and Drew Esikoff of the truck come up with it by the 3rd quarter.
Well,
you got juice, man.
I don't know what took him so long. Al had it by the end of the 1st quarter for sure. How is our guy doing out there?
Al?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess he's hit some pro tracer shots.
He probably has.
On the golf course over the last couple of days.
One of the great golfers I've ever played with.
In terms of quality of play or the enjoyment of the round?
No, time.
Okay, time.
we keep score differently.
It's 3rd and 5 here for Cousins. He got him spread out with 3 receivers to the top. Kieran Matthews in the pass rush, but nobody's open downfield. Good play by Thompson. He blocked, then he checked down, and he got a 1st down. Terrific play, Chris Thompson.
Not bad by Kirk Cousins either.
Yeah, that's right.
And not bad by this offensive line. Now just watch the protection. Okay, it was a little messy, right? Nobody there, but watch his protection. He's standing in the pocket. He's still alive. Move around a little bit. That was great. That was a great offensive play right there by the Redskins.
Speaks to what you talked about Chris Thompson, what he gives you in that 3rd down back roll. Jameson Crowder's been quiet tonight. The receiver from the 40. Cousins on the boot. Middle of the field to Sean Jackson. Goes down at the 43-yard line to avoid the hit on that injured shoulder. Gain of 17.
You know, you've heard of makeup calls. That was a makeup throw, I think.
To get it to him.
Yep.
Well, Kirk Cousins knows this draft class immediately. It's like saying, what's your name? Kirk Cousins. Who are the quarterbacks drafted before you? Luck, Griffin, Tannehill, Whedon, Osweiler, Wilson, and Foles. And then Kirk Cousins was the 8th quarterback taken with overall pick number 102. He said this was the absolute last place he thought that he would be drafted. 43, Robert Kelly runs to the right. Get to the 40-yard line. He figured, look, they got Robert Griffin III. The last thing they need is somebody with my style of play. They're not going to bring me in. So he gets picked, and he was crushed. They were quiet. They didn't know what to happen. Finally, his older brother said, hey, Kirk just got picked in the NFL draft. We need to celebrate this. And it kind of got his mind going in the right direction.
He said there were 8 quarterbacks that I felt like I was competing against, and he was hoping he would go somewhere in the middle of it. And he went 8th of those 8, and he was crushed. And eventually it was his family that finally said, hey, come on. You're an NFL player now. Stop it. Let's go have a party.
On 2nd and 6. Deep drop. Kelly couldn't bring that one in. as he got twisted around and the pass was incomplete. So he was there with Robert Griffin III, and of course Griffin got off to the unbelievable start with Mike Shanahan as the coach in that first year. But remember, Cousins came in and saved a key game and then won a game against Baltimore and Cleveland respectively. Cleveland was the start. Then he had to start 3 games their second season. And as Griffin had the injury problems and the struggles, Cousins started more. And then 2015, Jay Gruden just, look, we got to give the job to Robert, or rather to Kirk, to start here and stop this going back and forth. And Cousins took it last year. He struggled at times, but closed very strong, winning the last 4 games, and he cemented himself as the starter here. Packers wanted the flag for movement on the Redskins, but they're going to get the delay of game flag.
Delay of game, offense number 8, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That was a good job by the Green Bay Packers when they were jumping around. I think it distracted Kirk Cousins, and he lost track of the clock. See if anybody moved. They felt like there was some movement out of those 2 guys. The clock ran out because they never did call any of that. Jay's thrilled about it.
Lucky.
Never seen a Gruden unhappy in my life.
No.
It's 3rd and 11 now at the 44. 5 in a pattern for Cousins. Down the field. It is caught by Crowder for the touchdown. Jamison Crowder. "44 yards.
We talked about those split safeties and going after the middle of the field. That time got a wide receiver down. Straight down the pike right here. You're going to get a safety on either side of them. Just taking advantage of that speed against the young Quentin Rollins. I'll tell you, Kirk Cousins has made some nice reads tonight. That was not an easy pre-snap read to know that was going to be a split safety look. He saw one safety move out there, assumed the other, and got him on the outside just enough there out of Morgan Moses to make the play. And then I think my star of the night so far, Ty and Secchi on the other side against Clay Matthews.
Up 12, going to go for 2. Remember, Michelle told you at halftime Jay Gruden didn't want to go for the extra point kicking into the wind at the back end of the first half, but here try to make up for the math and get it to a 14-point lead. Cousins keeping, spinning away from Matthews, kept the play alive, and he's not going to get there. He was able to run the zone read for the touchdown, go-ahead touchdown in Detroit a few weeks ago. They only lost in the last 7 games. Couldn't get it to work there. 44 yards on 3rd and 11. Cousins to Crowder. Washington up a dozen. There's Wednesday. Bring your appetite. It's a feast of comedy. The SNL Thanksgiving special is Wednesday night Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central. Only on NBC. Great way to get ready to welcome everyone to your homes as everyone travels to be with family for that terrific weekend of family, food, friends, and football.
Which one are we on?
All the above. I think you guys have welcomed me into the family. I know you're a friend.
You're working Thursday, I know that.
And I know we both like food, too. This is just the second Packer drive of this 3rd quarter. First one was 9 plays and 80 yards. They started their own 2, took it down to the 18-yard line. Again, the wind has been the story as we've gone through the night with the wind success. Against the wind, they have moved to begin. That's 2 quarters worth against the wind. A lot of it on that last drive, and they have not scored points. Chris, do you think the deep shot that Jay Gruden and his offensive coordinator Sean McVay went for on that 3rd down was because it might be their last play with the wind?
No question about it. I mean, Mike McCarthy basically told Michelle exactly that. 2 different game plans.
25. We'll draw it when James starts. Chased down by Compton. He'll make the tackle after a gain of about 4 for the running back.
It's interesting for me watching this Trent Murphy out there for the Washington Redskins. There's a guy that was asked to put on weight, put on about 30 pounds to play inside. Then all of a sudden, Junior Gillette got hurt his Achilles. They said 2 days before camp, you need to lose 30 pounds and go back to your old position.
Starts another carry here. couple yards shy of the first down. Murphy made the tackle, and this third-year man out of Stanford's done a good job. 7 sacks. He was tied for the team lead coming into tonight. Kerrigan's got one more, so he's second on the team for the moment.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about Preston Smith, the other guy. So they had coming into this game tonight 17.5 sacks of their 25, I think it was, that they were able to come up with pressure from the outside. So far, we've seen Kerrigan applying some pressure, but a pretty good battle between these two good tackles on the outside for Green Bay.
In terms of punting into the wind, this will be an important first down to Green Bay to pick up. Get rid of the end of the quarter. Rodgers retreats, puts it up top for Cook, and he's able to bring it in inside the 40 to the 38-yard line, working on Dookie and Hacho that time. He beat both safeties in this quarter for deep passes.
Did you see how early Aaron Rodgers put that ball up? I mean, it was probably about right here. And the ball was, he just floated it way up in the air. It looked like one of those Hail Marys of his. And as soon as Cook turned around, it just hit him right in the chest. What a play.
29 on that one. Beat Dante Whitner for one earlier in this half. Rodgers sails incomplete. Devontae Adams with the coverage wasn't very open.
Boy,
9 seconds left in the third.
That was a big miss. You don't see Aaron Rodgers miss like that very often. They had a little inside fade going there, and there was a big gap. I don't know if the wind got that one or not, but that one wasn't close.
A lot of conversation about starting early, leadership on this team, urgency of the players, and a lot of it pointed back to Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers during the week. They try to manage the message on the exterior, and both implied to us that on the inside everything was fine with this Green Bay team. Montgomery the carry. Ty Montgomery will be a couple short of the first down as we get to the end of the third quarter. It's going to be an important quarter here for the Packers. They're down a dozen, trying to avoid a 4-game losing streak. Washington by 12. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Tonight's Skycam coverage brought to you by Geico. Off we go to the fourth quarter here. FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, our entire Sunday night team. Green Bay Packers sitting at 4-5. They opened the season 3-1. Lost 4 of their last 5, and their only win was that Thursday nighter over the last place Chicago Bears. Lost at Atlanta, lost at home to the Colts, and the loss to Tennessee. Now facing a dozen-point deficit, but working with the wind here as we begin the fourth quarter.
Let's go, follow one, triple. Hey, quick up.
James Starks is the back. Isn't done much back there. 7 carries, 19 yards. Fake to him. Oops. Get it wide open. There is nobody there, and Starks will walk in for the touchdown. A bust by the Redskins, and the Packers start the fourth quarter with a 31-yard score.
Complete confusion that time on the part of the Redskins. You could see out here they were just pointing and just didn't quite have it all figured out, and then play fake and nobody around James Starks. I mean, that is just the gift of all gifts.
Compton's trying to get the front figured out, the back end figured out. Extra point added by Mason Crosby. And it's 22-17. The Packers needed that energy boost right back in 30 seconds after the easiest Rodgers touchdown pass he'll ever have. You see confusion in coverages, but you rarely see something that's this blatant. Led to the Starks touchdown.
Giving a direction to the outside, and then it was confusing. See him pointing out there to them, and so they both end up chasing one of those guys, and just simply nobody covered James Starks.
For Starks, it's his second receiving touchdown, and as has been the story all night, most of the points being scored with the win. Now Washington's going to have to find ways to sustain offense going into the win in this fourth quarter. Crosby brought down Micah Hyde to hold. A chance for Thompson to catch that. And Washington will start back at the 25-yard line.
Well, here's the play that set up everything. You're going to see right out here. Aaron Rodgers is going to watch when he throws this ball. There's the throw. Now watch how far you're going to see Jared Cook run. The ball's in the air about another 10 yards before he makes the break and still makes the catch. And then this one's a little easier. James starts it. Not very often on the football field you turn around and go, well, look here.
Is there a penalty? Everybody stop? 5-point game. Nothing new to Washington. Almost all their games this year have been tight and close. Pass complete to Pierre Garçon. Gain of 5. Burnett there in coverage. Again, the two teams ahead of each of these teams in their respective divisions won today. Detroit beat Jacksonville. Minnesota getting the victory over Arizona, I should say. So Green Bay trying to win to stay within a game. Dallas and the Giants both winning as well. Cousins takes the deep shot downfield, and it is called by Garçon, who will score. Into the wind, a home run ball. 70 yards.
That dreaded quarters coverage again. Once this tight end goes up the field, that's a one-on-one route to the outside. Everybody in the league does the same thing. They run that post route, and these cornerback injuries are currently killing the Green Bay Packers. If you had to say, how does this team, with all this talent, lose 4 in a row, they have just run out of bodies at a key position.
Darius Gunter beat there. Dustin Hopkins for the extra point. He's able to power that through. Kirk Cousins goes over 300 yards with that touchdown. It's the most 300-yard games in Washington history. 16 of them. Beautiful strike into the wind, 70 yards to Garçon. Washington back on top by a dozen. NBC's Sunday Night Football brought to you by the 2017 Kia Sorento. Learn more at kia.com. By Verizon, join a better network because better matters. By Wendy's Always Fresh, Never Frozen Beef. And by Amazon Echo, information, music, news, and more. Just ask. The Quantico Marine Corps Marching Band you saw perform before the game. This is the Washington Redskins Salute to Service game. Leaders of our different military branches on hand with Bruce Allen, the president, Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington Redskins. Obviously, all the league salute to service games are so important. It's so well done, especially here in the nation's capital. Who's going to get this one? Montgomery catches at the 6, and Ty Montgomery. Looks like the ball knocked out from behind. He's down inside the 20. Let's go downstairs to Michelle.
Well, Mike and Chris, here are your Week 11 NFL memes. Let's just say it was a rough day for kickers. We saw the missed field goal earlier, but there were 11 missed extra points, most on one day in NFL history. Dak to the future in Dallas. The Cowboys are now 9-1. 3 more touchdown passes for Dak Prescott. We head to Indy for Thanksgiving, but today Peyton Manning got to say, "I love you, man," as they honor the Super Bowl 41 champs.
The Michelle memes, I love them.
And not only can she do the whole doctor stuff and the lab coach, she's doing the memes. Multi-talented.
Do it all. Well, the Packers thought they had gained momentum taken away by Washington just a moment ago. Starks, loss of 2 on the hand of Trent Murphy, one of the defenders to make the tackle.
You know, I know we've hit on it a little bit, and there's Clay Matthews over there trying to, I think he's playing at about 3/4 gear tonight, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
I mean, I know he's got the problems with the hamstrings, and he's had a rough go of it. But you just get the feeling that this Washington team, not just on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, is gaining a little confidence this year.
The 16, Rodgers, look out, got away from Murphy, and throws incomplete. Try to throw it back to Jared Cook. Compton had him in coverage. 3rd down coming up.
And in fairness, you know, I admire so many things about Aaron Rodgers. We have seen more than a couple of these this year. you know, where there have been guys wide open. And, you know, I mean, he's being chased around and harassed, and there's no way I can make the throw, but, you know, just misses. Just misses.
I feel like he's trying to carry the whole team, make up for all the deficiencies. That's what you ask a great player to do. Sometimes it's too much. 3rd and 12, Washington going to bring a blitz. And Cobb gets the first down. And the missed tackle keeps Randall Cobb going. Foot race now. Cobb into Washington territory. And inside the 40, he'll go down at the 38-yard line. Dante Whitner missed the tackle.
Just an unbelievable individual play when you have to have it. You're backed up, 3rd and 13. Make one man miss, make two man miss, and then you're off to the races. Just every once in a while, somebody has to be better than what he actually is. I've heard that phrase before. Just be better occasionally than what you actually are, and that time Randall Cobb was.
47 for Cobb on that one. Rodgers on the move, going to take off here. He'll get all the slide yards there. Nobody touched him again, you're right, Chris, but they're going to mark him down. And he's in a little negotiation there with John Hussey.
Well, let me just tell you something. That guy's a smart guy. Yes. And that thing is now firmly implanted. I guarantee you the next time that he runs and slides head first, he's going to pop right up and he might score a touchdown. Defensive players are so trained to not touch the quarterback, they're just, you know, they're afraid to get a penalty.
I think you're just as smart because he was thinking exactly that on that play. Hey, I can get up just like the last one. Gain a 9 on the first down. Starks will get the first down here to the 20-yard line. So Green Bay responding to the quick hit from Washington.
Great job there by Jason Spriggs, who's taken over for Barclay at guard. Watch this. He's kind of stumbling coming around here. Gathers his feet just enough to make that block right there on Will Compton and spring James Starks.
That's the thing with cross-training and using those linemen all over. This guy was a tackle for most of his college days in Indiana. In a guard position, calling for that movement for the 48th overall pick in last year's draft. He starts again. This time we'll get 6 out of it. That's good first down pickups. Now this is a Green Bay team that had not run it very much, had not run it very well, and they haven't really tonight. Their leading rusher again is Aaron Rodgers. 3 carries, 33 yards, but a little short passing game with Starks has given them essentially what the run game was.
Yeah, but just remember, and I know we're about to wear you out with this win thing, but, you know, 29-17, I'm not betting hard against the Green Bay Packers because they've been moving pretty efficiently going this direction.
So it's closer than it looks right now. Quick out of his hands to the tight end Cook inside the 10. Jared Cook gets to the 6-yard line. 1st and goal, Green Bay.
Well, that's the newest version of the Green Bay Packers sweep. Vince Lombardi, you saw him earlier. He had his own version. Block, block, and here we go. Just dump it to them as quickly as they can. You can see those receivers out there. They have no thoughts whatsoever that they're going to catch a pass. Oh boy, that's Chris Baker down. That's a biggie.
Lone season-long starter up front on this Washington defense. Guy's had a pretty decent night.
Oh my goodness, has he ever? Let's take a look at Chris Baker and what he's done tonight. Working inside, working against Don Barclay, came up with a sack early on. He has been really effective with that push right up the middle with the bull rushes. And then you see some of the speed and quickness against the run. It's not close. He is their best defensive lineman up front.
His first 2 years at Penn State, finished his college ball at Hampton. Year 5 in the league.
Would not be surprised here if McCarthy comes back and says, let's check out the middle in there without Chris Baker into play.
47-yarder, Randall Cobb getting Green Bay down here. Been looking for those big plays from Cobb as we've gone on the last couple of years. Saw so many of them early in his career. lead to this 1st and goal. Rodgers gets pressured, throws it inside to Cook, who holds on for the touchdown. Jared Cook gets his first touchdown as a Packer.
First, let's take a look, make sure this is a clean catch. Look at that release. There's nobody can do the things he can do with that. Does he hold on? Has to go all the way to the ground, not let it bobble. Clean catch, and what a difference Jared Cook is making in this offense. That is a former corner out there, not just any safety. Will Blackman, who is a really good cover guy for a safety, and even he didn't really have a chance.
Point try, Mason Crosby bangs it through. You liking this game? 4 consecutive drives ending in touchdowns. Randall Cobb made a man miss, got a big play, led to the Cook touchdown, and the Packers are now down just 5. We hope you'll join us to wrap up your Thanksgiving. Special edition of Sunday Night Football on Thanksgiving. Big Ben and the Steelers, Andrew Luck and the Colts both getting division wins today, and an important game for their playoff hopes in the AFC. Steelers-Colts will be in Indianapolis for Thanksgiving, 8 Eastern time. The coverage begins right here on NBC. Andrew Luck and the Colts getting off to the hot start, much like Tennessee, the team they beat today, did to Green Bay last week. It was 21-0 Colts. They had to hang on through the 4th quarter to get that win at home. Michelle just showed you they honored the championship team. Peyton Manning and his former teammates were on hand. Hyde comes back down again to hold for Crosby. This kickoff will be returned by Chris Thompson. And this is the 10. The carriage slipped, but good pursuit, and Fackrell will make the tackle for Green Bay just shy of the 20-yard line on a good quarterback night here in D.C.
Better than that. Both of them have over 300 yards passing already tonight. Both have 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And there have just been lasers with tracers all night long. And this one may be one of the most impressive right here. Getting the point of that ball to turn over, throwing like that into the wind. Look how the point came down. That's the only way you can make a throw that far into this kind of wind. Perfectly thrown, perfect spiral. Just a showcase tonight for these 2 quarterbacks.
Drive going to start the 19, and Rob Kelly goes nowhere. He's going to be knocked down for a loss of about 4 by Blake Martinez. Both quarterbacks over 300 yards. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Rodgers' ratings right around 115. Cousins' rating 147 right now. So considering the wind and all the other stuff going on, terrific performance here tonight.
And it's not the first time either. Kirk Cousins has had on deep balls this year 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception, and he continues to light it up and show that strong arm.
Washington behind the sticks a little bit, 2nd and 14, and that pass to Deshaun Jackson is caught. They'll make it 3rd and manageable as Jackson brings it in for the 3rd time tonight.
Well, these corners have seen enough balls fly over their head. I think Dom Capers went over to the sideline and say, listen, guys, just keep it in front of you. You've got Quentin Rollins, who's a young player out there. You've got Darius Gunter, who's a young player out there. You have 3 safeties in the middle of the field. You have Dom Capers trying to make it up and bandage it all together.
3rd and 3. Washington has scored on every drive this half. Cousins pressured, incomplete. The contact will draw the flag. I don't think that was going to be complete. Blake Martinez with the contact, but there's a 2nd flag back by the quarterback.
Yeah, 3 flags on the field right now in 2 different areas of the field.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 by each team. Holding, number 79 of the offense. Pass interference on the defense. Those penalties will offset. 3rd down.
And Secchi, the starting left tackle, called for the hold.
Interesting right out here. Let's take a look. Maybe grabbed him and pulled him down. I suppose that's what they saw. And then early contact there by Blake Martinez. So let's try it again. Got on the outside one more time, Deshaun Jackson.
Quick snap here, and the pass is to the ground, held onto by Jackson for a big first down for Washington with 8:35 to go.
Have to take advantage if these corners are going to play that far off. It's a freebie. Let's make sure he makes this catch. Elbow on the ground, as long as it didn't bobble where we couldn't see it. First down, Redskins. A little shuffle there, wasn't it?
It's a decision to Mike McCarthy. That's a tough decision to make. Clear and obvious. That ball moved. What will they tell him from upstairs? Challenger, no. The challenge flag out. They'll live with it. And Robert Kelly with the run to the 38-yard line.
I tell you, they're doing a nice job out there. Watch this jump cut here by Robert Kelly, the 2 yards into 4 yards. But there's another kind of developing story for me here tonight. I knew Vernon Davis was a good blocking tight end, right? He blocks on about 50% of his plays. But Jordan Reed has done a pretty good job blocking this evening, and they're using him more pulling around. You know, this 2 tight end combination a little different than what you saw in New England, but still very effective for the Redskins.
Reed on the sideline, making sure everybody sees that play clock. A little urgency here. Don't get a delay of game. On 2nd and 4, Kelly again, a little move to avoid a loss of yardage on the carry, and it becomes a gain, so it'll be 3rd and 2 instead.
Yeah, don't forget that inside, the leading tackler, Jake Ryan, is out of this game injured with a bad ankle. And so they have what is generally considered their nickel linebacker, Joe Thomas, in there. So the Redskins do have some opportunities with that big bunch in front to just try and go right at him some.
Thomas 48, that is the Joe Thomas whose dad at age 55 got in the game for South Carolina State in college football yesterday. He ran the ball a couple of times. This is Kelly running. Can he get there? Don't think so. Pushed back, Lake Daniels at the end of the play. And it'll bring up 4th down and a yard. And Washington's probably going to have to kick it away here with 6.5 to go.
Nice play inside by Julius Peppers. Right up here. Watch him come swing inside and just clog up that middle lane where they thought they were going to have something. Nicely done by the veteran.
Nick Perry was in there helping to make that tackle, and then as the pushing was going before they blew the play dead, Perry went down at the back end of that, and he's the Packer who's getting medical attention right now. Okay, clean up a couple of things. Nick Perry walked off mostly under his own power. His ankle was trapped under the big pile of bodies. They came out and measured. They're a foot short. It's 4th and a foot, and they're coming out to go for this, Chris. Up 5 because of the wind factor.
Maybe.
Yeah, do they try to draw him off? Crowder in motion. It's kept by Cousins on 4th down, sneaking for the first down. The spot is clearly at the 43-yard line, and it's a Washington first down inside of 6 minutes left. What a gutsy call there by Jay Gruden.
Wow. And watch Kirk Cousins here twist his body. Actually, Sean Laval got pushed back by LaTroy Guion, and Guion kind of ran right by Kirk Cousins, but it was that little twist that got Kirk Cousins skinny enough to get through there. And then Laval came in and helped push him across the line.
And he also keeps his body up so no body part hit the ground as he was going. That's what they teach running backs. Get skinny, get big to get through a hole. That's not the definition of it, but man.
I tell you who got big on that one was Jay Gruden. I'm going to tell you what. I know you play to win the game. I remember Herb taught us all that. But that was gutsy stuff right there. And Kirk Cousins, who's done everything right tonight, why not? Keep the ball in his hands.
Gets the first down. Daniel Snyder up and watching, just helping everybody along. It's a first down with Joe Theismann right there behind him in the box to our right.
You know, the Redskins trying to go to the playoffs, 2nd year in a row, right? Jay Gruden says, what the heck, man? Let's give it a shot. You could almost, he's a funny guy anyway. I know you know his brother well, worked with him forever. But he's entertaining. You can almost hear him say, what the heck, let's go.
It's a 3 tight end look. They ran effectively in the first half with this. Kelly with the run to the left. And he's going to keep going, get 2 or 3 yards. Jay Gruden, very competitive guy. He was a quarterback in his day, championship quarterback in arena football, set records at Louisville. As we have a timeout taken with the injury to Blake Martinez, who's down for Green Bay.
Boy, that's a problem. Now they're out of linebackers. They might have to move Clay Matthews back inside now.
That's the story of their season. Defensive injuries. Timeout. We've flexed into this game next Sunday night. You know, look at 2 7-3 teams, the Chiefs and the Broncos. In Denver on Sunday Night Football, the Raiders will try to maintain the lead in the West. They play Houston in Mexico City tomorrow night. Kansas City and Denver pulling for the Texans. Maybe get that thing tied 3 ways and have the division lead on the line when they meet Sunday Night Football starting at 7 Eastern. A week from tonight on NBC. Nick Perry back in. Blake Martinez limped off with the help of the athletic trainers. Carl Bradford just called up off the practice squad, making his Packer debut tonight. He's on the field, an inside linebacker. That pass is nearly intercepted by Bradford. It was intended for Garcon, who was battling with Ladarius Gunter, and Bradford had his hand on it for just a brief moment.
It was almost the same exact angle which we saw Aaron Rodgers miss a throw way inside. Look how far inside that ball was. Lucky to get away with that one. That would have been something, huh? If he'd have Bradford come in the game. And there's a big play right here.
Pick up the 4th down. They now face 3rd and 7 and a blitz coming from the Packers. It's picked up. Cousins shot downfield. It is caught by Crowder. Crowder inside the 10 to the end zone, and he's down just shy of the goal line at the 1. A blitz beater with Jamison Crowder, 1st and goal, Washington.
First of all, let's say, how did this thing get off? Got a blitz coming right here. They told me that Chris Thompson was a great blitz pickup guy. He certainly was. And then here we go. You've got one of the quicker wide receivers on this team running against a middle linebacker. Unfair.
53 yards on the gain for Crowder, who takes it over 100 receiving yards here on the night. At the back end of that, Kentrell Bryce, who goes down, and he is receiving medical attention from the Packers staff.
So they're putting that on the half-yard line, but did he ever actually go to the ground?
Take a peek at that and break. Meantime, they look at Bryce. What a night passing for Kirk Cousins. 375 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just took a peek at this Jamison Crowder play. He did come down a bit on Bryce, which is one of the reasons Bryce got hurt, but you can see his bottom hits before the goal line, so the ball was correctly marked at the 1, and it's 1st and goal for Washington there.
As reported, is eligible.
Chris, how impressed are you watching the arm strength of Kirk Cousins tonight?
You know, it's the tightness of those spirals throwing into the wind that's making the tip of that ball turn over, and he's able to get that added distance. It doesn't seem to have been much of a factor for him throwing into the wind, which is amazing. The Packers scored all their points going with the wind.
Linebacker Houston Bates lines up as a fullback. Washington goes with big personnel down here. They give to Kelly, who works to the left and gets in for the touchdown. His 2nd of the night, and Washington able to get an 81-yard drive into the wind to extend the lead to double digits again.
Here we go. Let's make sure he crosses the plane. Remember, any part of the ball crosses anything on that white line, and that one's pretty easy. There's big Houston Bates in there leading the way, and it's once again, as it's been many times tonight, Vernon Davis, maybe not the big night catching the ball that Jordan Reed has had, but he has had a real impact on this running game.
We talk about Rodgers and the Packers offense and trying to get going, but the spate of injuries to Green Bay has just been so difficult to deal with as Hopkins hits that one off the upright, and no good as it was wind affected. Exactly.
I mean, now you're sort of touchdown, an extra point, 2-point conversion, and a field goal, right?
Right, you don't need the 2 touchdowns now. It's an 11-point game.
This is the reason that Jay Gruden did not the extra point on the first one. You can see the movement. And remember, earlier we saw one going that way from Mason Crosby that hooked left, and that one moved right with the wind.
And that makes it 12 extra points that have been missed in the NFL today. And you go to the year when the rule was changed in 2014. For the entirety of the season, 8 extra points were missed. And we've had 12 just in 1 week here. 1 day, really. Nothing was missed that Thursday nighter you guys had with Carolina and New Orleans. Well, here were the misses. This is like Jim Cantore. Just follow the weather. Although Detroit and Minnesota, you can't blame the weather, but certainly in New York, Cincy, Cleveland, weather was a factor. It was raining on the West Coast in the San Francisco game. Stephen Gostowski missed an extra point.
It's like they moved the three-point line back. You know, I mean, you can tell it's having an impact on these guys. Still plenty of time, though, for Aaron Rodgers going this way with the win. They've been explosive.
Kickoffs will be returned by Montgomery. Good first contact to keep him shy of the 20-yard line. And you're right, Chris, it's Aaron Rodgers. We've seen him do this magic plenty of time. 3:47 left, 3 timeouts. But you can only do so much. It's another game where they've given up over 30 points. All these injuries, they've given up 147 points. Right? 146 points in the last 4 games. They're just going uphill. You cannot do this as an offense and expect to be a winning team.
Well, plus, they're keeping the ball away from Aaron Rodgers as they're doing that. But plenty of time here. I mean, obviously now, big difference when you could settle for a field goal if you had to. First, you have to get across the midfield.
17, Rodgers retreating. To get rid of that, was he out of the pocket? As the ball gets thrown, there's a Nelson in the vicinity.
Second down.
The tackle box is incomplete. Preston Smith with the pressure. That's what we're talking about. 146 points in the last 4 games, most in a 4-game span since 1958. And we showed you back earlier the pre-Lombardi days. That's the year before Lombardi arrives and changed the fortunes of the Packers. First look not open. Rodgers crossing his Devontae Adams at the 35. Chased down. Good job by Adams, staying in bounds. Almost turned it upfield. But he's in Washington territory very quickly at the 46-yard line.
Well, that was strictly a product of all the time that this offensive line gave. You could see a little confusion on the outside. Kendall Fuller tried to call a timeout, but that took a long time for Devontae Adams to get in there. Boy, it's fun to watch Devontae Adams play with a healthy ankle. Never really looked himself last year.
37 on the game. Sua Cravens was slow to get up for Washington. That's why the game stopped for the moment, as the athletic training staff came to get him to be evaluated on the sideline.
Well, you just have to go back to that decision by Jay Gruden to go for it. Exactly, you know, you could just see it's going to be difficult for his defense to ever stop Aaron Rodgers going this way, and I'm sure that's exactly why he did it.
With the 3 timeouts, ideally you'd like to get any sort of a score before the 2-minute warning. Leaves you some options. You got to get that first score. Montgomery on the screen, patiently waited for the block. Brought down as he gets around the 40-yard line. Preston Smith chased it down and threw him down. Good retracing of his steps by Smith. Clock turns, 3:10 to go.
Ready, go.
Nice sweep.
Quick flip, gets Cook. Lost the football. Washington has it. Recovered by Will Compton. That play looked promising for Cook. He turned it upfield. The game's first turnover could be the crushing blow.
What a play by Josh Norman. Watch this one. It's a right hook from Josh Norman that gets this thing out of there. Oh, look how happy he is. He just paid dividends on that $75 million. Watch this right hook from Norman. Bang, right in
Tillman.
there. You got it. Peanut Tillman is exactly. He's the guy that started doing it.
They were teammates last year in Carolina.
Wow. Didn't even really go for the tackle. Saw his opportunity. Got it out. Tremendous play.
The game's first turnover with 2:59 left. Could spell the end of the night. Could spell 4 straight losses for Jordy Nelson to the Packers. Green Bay using timeouts here on this side. Trying to stop Washington, trying to get the ball out from Robert Kelly, who carries for a couple of yards to the 30-yard line.
Right there. Muhammad Ali just knocked it out.
Big impact for Norman on this team. And on the field tonight offensively, Cousins 375. Tremendous quarterback rating too. The max is 156.3. He's right under 146 right now. Crowder and Garcon each over 100 yards, 2 of the 3 touchdowns thrown by Kirk Cousins.
And a half a yard away from that 4th touchdown pass in there. Well, what a play though by Josh Norman. Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, was saying that after he signed that $75 million contract, he went in and sort of hesitantly said, when are we going to see you again? He said, when does this OTA start? He said, Monday morning, 8 o'clock. I'll be there. Never missed one the entire time. Set the standard from that day one for that entire defense.
2 timeouts left for the Packers. It's Kelly up the middle with a ton of room. Robert Kelly in the open field. Inside the 20. Stays on his feet to the 4-yard line. 66 yards. Longest run of his rookie season.
You just have to feel a little bit. Not only are they hurting in the secondary, but they are down to their 3rd and 4th team linebackers in there as well. Kai and Secchi comes up with a big block. And for the Washington Redskins, they are starting to feel it, aren't they? I mean, this is, I know the Green Bay Packers are struggling, but this is a huge win for this organization.
And you know what, Chris? It's one they almost had to have because of the stretch. Minnesota here, I know the Vikings are struggling on offense, but their defense is still formidable. It's a short week, a tight turnaround from Sunday night to on the road at Dallas. We know how great the Cowboys are this year and the history and legacy of that rivalry. This is one you almost had to get to give yourself a chance. And you know, when Rodgers is coming in here, throwing the ball all over the park, 355 and 3 touchdowns. Huge win for them. So they can close it out.
They're just trying to figure out who to even get on the field now.
And Kelly's going to get the payoff with another rushing touchdown. Penalty flag on the play. I think Kelly's 3rd rushing touchdown of the night will stand up. What a story this guy is too, Chris.
Oh, I love it. How about this guy right here too? Their center, Spencer Long. Here's a guy that kind of thought maybe he might end up in medical school. Dad's a surgeon and brother's a surgeon, or wanting to be a doctor. He wants to be a doctor, but right now, the only thing he's carving up are the Green Bay Packers.
Over. Personal foul. Defense number 95. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Touchdown.
And Dayton Jones after the play. Here's Jones right behind the camera here after the score.
Right there.
Oh, and that with the foot. Got Inseki on the helmet. Stepped on him. Could very well follow with an envelope from the league office. 42-24 Washington. 2:26 to go.
And the cupboard was bare. I mean, you just have to say that about the defense of the Green Bay Packers. There's There's just nothing left. I mean, you can't lose your top 2 cornerbacks, your top 2 linebackers, and have Clay Matthews basically playing on a bum leg.
And Sonny Jurgensen up in the radio booth. We were talking, it's been a few years since you've been here for a Redskins game. I've seen a lot of them over the last couple of years. One of the first things you asked me, do they still have their band?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. One of the few NFL teams. We've seen a lot of shots taken in that booth over the years of a downcast Dan Snyder not bopping his head to jump around.
If he starts jumping, we're going to have the shot of the year. Come on, Daniel.
Kickoff will come from midfield after the 15-yard penalty. The Washington win would move them to 6-3-1. That's a half game behind the Giants. Anytime a guy who used to play for the Redskins, Mark Murphy, who is in the role of president and CEO of the Packers. He, Ted Thompson, Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers. Not going to be the greatest Thanksgiving week in Green Bay as the Packers try to pick up the pieces, find some bodies to play, and get ready to go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles on Monday night.
Well, it's going to be difficult for anybody to try and pin this one on Aaron Rodgers. He was fantastic out there. This offense did their job. They scored at least 25, and all of their prior 3 losses sitting there at 24. They have simply run out of bodies on defense. I've seen it happen in the NFL a few times. When you get pounded at one position, you just can't overcome it. There aren't any bodies out on the street.
Brett Hundley lost the snap. The backup quarterback comes in for Rodgers to finish this off. Second-year man out of UCLA. They took him in the 5th round last year. Finally got in the game. Last week got 4 snaps against the Titans. Left UCLA with their touchdown passing record, 75. He was the number 3 quarterback to Scott Tolzien last year. And they'll let it run to the 2-minute warning. 42-24. Washington on its way to win 6 of the season. And a big one on Sunday night. Last 2 minutes of this one here in Landover, Maryland, 42-24. As the Packers not only look at the defeat, but trying to find the bodies who can play on the defensive side of the ball. They go to Philadelphia, as mentioned. Then they have a couple of home games, but it's Houston, a division leader for the moment, and then Seattle. And the Seahawks look like they're catching a good run. Russell Wilson and company back at it again today, beating the Eagles. Brett Hundley with the throw. Jordy Nelson with the catch, a couple shy of the first down. Dante Whitner makes the tackle.
How much does it mean? That's what I keep thinking here. How significant is this for Washington? I know we have a depleted Green Bay Packers team, but is this really the start of something for them? Could be. You know, it could be.
Incomplete to Jared Cook. 4th down coming up, and coming up after the game, we'll have Volkswagen post-game report. Michelle will talk to the stars of the game on the field. Bob Costas will join us. Tony Dungy and Mike Florio will break it down, and we'll look ahead to another busy week. The Thanksgiving night game with the Steelers and Colts in Indianapolis, and then the Sunday nighter with Kansas City in Denver. The Broncos were off this week. And prepare to welcome to the Chiefs. We'll look ahead to that coming up on the post-game.
Rooney, go.
4th down for Brett Hundley. And that is off the hands of Montgomery and intercepted by Martrell Spate. Second-year man out of Arkansas comes up with an interception and a souvenir to wrap up this Washington victory. There goes on. Well, they lost to Green Bay in the playoffs. You're going to be careful. They can't circle back. I don't want to tug on Superman's cape too hard, right?
Yeah, but I tell you who's Superman tonight. That guy, for one. I mean, let's just tell it the way it is. Kirk Cousins was fantastic. So was Aaron Rodgers. But the MVP of this game, Jay Gruden. That decision to go for it there, honestly, could be one of those season changers. You're telling your team, I believe in you to the point I'm going to put, if I don't get this and we lose this game, I'm going to get destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to destroy me.
What were we saying?
Even Tirico might be after me up there. He goes for it, gets it. They go on and score a touchdown. It is a huge decision for this entire season.
We were saying in break, you're going to give the ball to Aaron Rodgers, 5-point game. You give it to him on his side of the field at the 41-yard line. I think it was.
Bold.
And it worked. Jay's dad, Jim, was a longtime coach and scout. 49ers, Buccaneers along the way, among other teams. He's a coach at Notre Dame as well, an assistant. And he sometimes has a hard time watching the game, gets so nervous. He'd take a walk around, just check in every once in a while, see how his son's team was doing. Mr. Gruden, your son's team did pretty well tonight.
You really are a wizard.
Chance to watch them get win 6 here on the season.
You are killing it, bro. No, you doing well.
It was fun, Michael. Enjoyed it. See you on Turkey Day.
You're going to let me come back?
Absolutely.
I'll be here in 2 minutes of the post game after Costas does his hit. So
okay.
I'll still be around.
See you in a second.
But I had a great time with you as well. 42-24. Kirk Cousins getting applauded to the other Packers out there as well, and deservedly so, with his tremendous performance. Green Bay Packers have lost 4 games in a row. Bob Costas will be with you, Volkswagen post-game report, after these messages from your local NBC station.